Mel Usher.
FIVEaa Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. FIVEaAextra.com.
There's been a scathing attack on the federal government's approach to COVID-19 testing. In April 2020, a group of 3 technical experts sent multiple documents to senior bureaucrats urging them to expand their testing capabilities. The trio warned about the risks of solely relying on PCR testing and overseas supply of rapid tests. Pharmaceutical expert Professor Paul Wood has told Nine the government should have heeded the warnings.
It was very obvious from the start that PCR testing on its own wouldn't be enough. So, we missed out in so many different ways because we just could not get anyone to think about what was going to happen as this pandemic evolved.
All teenagers will now need to be double vaccinated against COVID to visit the zoo or Monarto. Zoos SA has expanded the entry rules for anyone aged 16 and over to 12 and over. They say it's about offering a safe space, and there are concerns about the zoo's residents given some animals overseas have contracted the virus. The Prime Minister will try and revitalise the Coalition's election chances in a key speech to the National Press Club this afternoon. Nine's Michael Packey is in Canberra.
Scott Morrison knows he has his work cut out to win the next federal election, as latest polling shows the opposition will be easily propelled into office. The PM will use a major address to admit this summer has been challenging for many Australians, but overall we've still handled the COVID situation better than many other countries. He'll acknowledge the efforts of frontline workers with more than $200 million in extra funding for the aged care sector. As part of the COVID recovery effort, the government will also pour another $2 billion to help commercialise Australian research.
More apologies from the British Prime Minister for illegal lockdown parties at 10 Downing Street. A report from a top civil servant has determined some of the 16 gatherings represent a serious failure and are difficult to justify. Met Police are investigating 12 of the events and are trawling through more than 300 photos. Boris Johnson is again saying sorry for the way the matter has been handled.
It's no use saying that this or that was within the rules, and it's no use saying that people were working hard. This pandemic was hard for everyone.
The UN Security Council has rebuffed Russia over tensions at the Ukrainian border, voting to hold an open hearing on the conflict. Nine's US correspondent Amelia Adams has more.
In one of the sharpest confrontations in years at UN headquarters in New York, Russian officials accused Washington of whipping up hysteria, provoking escalation by falsely accusing Moscow of preparing to invade Ukraine. The US insisting Russia is undermining international peace and security by gathering troops on Ukraine's border, and warning that if Moscow walks away from diplomacy, there will be swift and severe consequences, as America and its allies prepare a list of Russian officials to hit with tough sanctions. Ukraine's foreign minister told the meeting now is the time for Russia to make concessions and move troops back from the border.
And another 3 or 4 hours of footage may be added to the Beatles' Get Back documentary. Director Peter Jackson isn't ruling it out as part of an extended cut. The series already clocks in at around 8 hours. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
Uluru Weekender by Private Jet, direct from Adelaide. Departs February 25th. Book at ntnow.com.au.
And I don't believe it. He's back. It's Tom Wren.
Oh, it's great to be back with you, Mel, in the newsroom again. Fantastic times. Let's start with some football. The AFL board will meet to discuss what the start of the new season is going to look like. WA's hard border could force a rework of the premiership without a certain time frame when it will reopen. Meantime, Port Adelaide is hopeful forward Charlie Dixon may not need surgery and could be free to return to training in the next month after suffering an ankle injury in the pre-season. But small forward Orazio Fantasia is still likely to need surgery on his right knee, putting him in some doubt for the start of the season. Australian cricket coach Justin Langer has reportedly been told he could need to reapply for his job when his current contract expires in June. It's understood Langer had a frosty meeting with Cricket Australia officials late last week. Australian basketball player Joe Ingles has suffered a serious knee injury whilst on court for the Utah Jazz. He's expected to have scans in the next day or so to confirm the extent of the damage. Jazz guard Mike Conley says it was hard to watch.
That took a lot out of guys, seeing him, tears in his eyes, just, you know how much this means to him and this game means to him, and it's tough.
Former Chelsea boss Frank Lampard has been appointed manager of Everton. Lampard has agreed to a 2.5-year deal and replaces Rafael Benitez. And the NFL Super Bowl 56 is locked in with the LA Rams set to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Win a $3 million grand prize and $2 million early bird prize in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
Partly cloudy for your Tuesday, 24. Partly cloudy tomorrow, 22. Thursday, partly cloudy, 25. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday on 5AA Breakfast. It is Tuesday, the 1st of February. 1 month down in 2022. Wasn't too painful, was it? Coming up on the... Don't answer that. Coming up on the program this morning... We are going to be chatting with Phil Curry in the nation's capital. We'll talk federal politics. A month into the year means a month closer to the federal election, and there's plenty to talk about on that front. Looking forward to chatting with Phil. The inclement and humid weather has brought with it a whole range of bugs. We're going to speak with an expert after 8 o'clock today about the phenomenon that feels like... It feels like there's been an explosion in every possible bug population in Adelaide recently. And also, I'm really looking forward to this. We're going to chat with Jade from the Coober PD IGA. I don't know what's on the shelves of the Coober PD IGA this morning. I suspect it's not a lot. They received a 20-tonne airdrop yesterday of supplies and food and meat and all sorts of things. We're hoping to speak to them at a time when they're expecting another drop a little bit later today. Not part of your normal order of business at an IGA, having to go out and grab a crate that's been just dropped off a giant Air Force plane, but that is going to be Rajide's reality today, and we'll be chatting with him about it after 8:30. David Penberthy, good morning to you. Welcome to February.
Welcome to February to you, and welcome to February listeners as well. Can't believe that January's gone already.
It's done.
But every month that passes takes us further away from 2020, doesn't it, when all this nonsense began. Doesn't quite feel like it yet.
I can't distinguish between any of these years.
I'm having trouble remembering the year.
I don't know which year anything happened in this period.
All I know is 2019 was excellent.
Well,
2019 was such a good year.
It was fun.
I turned 50. I had a great party with one of my mates.
I remember them.
Remember that party? You were at the party?
Yeah.
It was a cracker of a night.
I remember parties generally.
There were about 120 people at it.
I know.
Some of them were
Feels
standing
somehow
less than
unsafe now on
1.5 metres apart from each other.
Yeah, there was standing consumption.
Oh, there was all sorts. There was a bit of horizontal consumption later in the evening. That was a messy old night, wasn't it?
It was a good night. It was a good night.
I went overseas with my dad. We went to New Orleans. There's a city that doesn't do social distancing.
What a thought at that time, at the time of your 50th, the big party that it was, imagining that it would be a topic of conversation, that parties would be banned, and that the British Prime Minister would be facing being axed by his own colleagues because he went to a party that he shouldn't have been. Just the whole thought that part of life, that you don't take anything for granted, like just meeting people, would actually be illegal 2 years later.
Oh, it's bizarre, isn't it? How good's the Johnson story? Overnight, big developments on that front. So this report's come out, and
part of the report's come out.
Yeah, because they can't produce the whole thing because the police are doing an ongoing investigation into, 14 parties?
Yeah, so the police have taken evidence and they've said part of the report, Sue Gray, who's the civil servant, who's got carriage of all this, you can't release everything with regard to it, but she's released a sort of summary component with her recommendations and thoughts, and they're totally scathing, as you might well imagine. We'll play a summary of it at 6:30.
The bit that's really funny, though, and those of you who've seen the only good Hangover film, which is the first one, the Boris Johnson report reminds me a bit of the final scene of The Hangover, where they're at Doug's wedding after they've found Doug, unaccounted for a while, on the Buck show in Vegas, and they're trying to piece together what happened. So they're sitting around. The four guys have peeled off at the wedding reception, and they've found this camera. And they're scrolling through the camera to work out exactly what happened. The same thing's happening with Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Because the report says that there are 300 photographs from these 14 parties, and they're scrolling through all of them to work out who was doing what.
Except the people scrolling through the camera are an independent investigation and the Metropolitan Police.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully photos will emerge, sort of Zach Galifianakis style, of Boris Johnson swimming in a fountain at the Bellagio Hotel.
We'll play you some of that at 6:30, then at 7 o'clock. I reckon actually the best zinger of the day, or the toughest question he faced in Parliament yesterday, Boris Johnson, when he came out and apologised again, following the release of this part of the report, was from Theresa May. We'll play it at 7 o'clock. The question was it was a zinger, but it came from someone sitting directly behind him.
Former Prime Minister.
Former Prime Minister. It was really interesting. So you'll hear all about that this morning.
Want to hear about people's fly-related encounters? This is my idea, this story, because I was at Bunnings, and sometimes, like, the little thing you see tells a bigger story. I was there buying some window locks, because under law, windows that face onto a pool area they can't open more than 10 centimetres. So I was getting some special window locks that I'm going to install over the weekend for the back room. But when I got to the cash register, this giant pallet of fly traps. And I thought, that's funny, I've never seen fly traps here before. But then I was thinking, well, I'll tell you what I've seen at home, a whole stack of flies. And they're not your big standard ones. They're these really, have you noticed them? These small sticky ones.
Yep. It feels like all the insects that just came down, they've flown south for the summer.
Yeah.
It feels like everything came down on the cyclone.
Well, we did the dragonflies the other day.
We did the dragonflies.
I'll tell you what, though, don't buy a fly trap. They are the most disgusting things. So it's been out for 2 days. The kids thought it was great. Went on the back table, but after like a day, I said, what's that smell? And I said, oh, it was that fly trap. So we put it down and hung it in a tree branch at the back near the car. And this morning when I was getting in the car, I thought I was going to throw up. It is just utterly putrid.
So you put it outside?
It's outside.
Outside on a tree?
Yeah, it's hanging
You've
from a branch
taken
of
the
a tree.
fight to them in their own environment.
Well, we wanted to get them off of the back deck where they just, hang around while we're out the back,
This was
having
like
a chinwag at night.
This was like your version of the sort of the domino effect. Like, this is your Vietnam.
Ukraine.
Yeah, sort of like Ukraine.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're the Putin of the fly world?
That's right.
You've said we have to take action.
I'm an expansionist power.
We're not waiting till you're in our house. I'm coming to your tree.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah. But it's right at the back door, the back veranda.
Okay.
It's like, same as putting up a bug zapper.
Mate, tell it to the UN. 8223888 is our number. You can text
Justice for flies.
The Telstra store about Barker text line 2048081395. Maybe you've got your own bug-related nuisance at the moment. We will be speaking to an expert a little bit later in the morning. News headlines are coming up in just a moment.
G'day, it's Jared Walsh for Wavell Mitsubishi. Wow, there's some exciting stuff happening. The iconic Wavell Australian Motors Mitsubishi Service Centre on Goodwood Road is going through a spectacular rebuild. So while that's in progress, please drive into Davenport Lane to drop your vehicle off for servicing. As always, you can expect the very best servicing and repairs, so it's business as usual. Just drive into Davenport Lane to drop your vehicle off to the incredible Wavell service team, driven by Australian Motors.
It's value the Australian way at Coles with great fresh specials this week. Like sweet juicy Pink Lady apples, 100% Aussie and just $3 a kilo. This week at Coles. Offer ends Thursday.
Support your state and earn some extra cash. The state election is held on March 19th this year. And the Electoral Commission of South Australia need over 7,000 South Australians to help deliver democracy on polling day. So, if you could do with some extra cash and want to support South Australia, head to ecsa.sa.gov.au and register to work at the state election.
Everybody loves their country.
I'm John Miller from Harcourt's Real Estate. What turns browsers into buyers is that wow factor. And there's nothing that brings instant appeal quite like the unique elegance of plantation shutters. For a highlight that adds value and lifts the look of any home, there's no better investment.
Improve, invest and add value with quality plantation shutters by Country. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measure and quote.
'Cause everybody loves their country.
We're at a party. 3 little kids were playing in the pool, all under 5. Adults were busy talking, glanced over, noticed a little one underwater. I think she needs help. That's how easily something can happen. It only takes a few seconds. Don't worry, the party had a happy ending. But we need to remember, fence the pool, shut the gate. Teach your kids to swim, it's great. Supervise, watch your mate, and learn how to resuscitate. I'm Laurie Lawrence. Kids Alive, do the 5.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors, gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
16 minutes after 6. In an effort to combat the perception that the media tends to overhype things, we've come to term this morning's discussion as Bugmageddon. Rob's texted us on the Telstra Stillmat Barker text line, says, I know they're not poisonous, but if one more damned huntsman casually walks past me, I'll burn the house down. Each seems bigger than the last. Thank you, Rob. We're talking bugs this morning. Dragonflies earlier in the week. Flies, clearly there's an untold fly story in Adelaide based on the pallets worth of flycatchers at Bunnings. Peter and Moon to Bay says fly lives matter. Well,
yeah, fair enough.
David's taken a very aggressive approach to dealing with his fly problem that, look, history will ultimately be the judge of.
And it'll wind up appearing before The Hague at this rate.
Let's get to the news headlines. A woman has attempted to escape a Medi hotel with her children. Staff in PPE were seen running out of the Pullman Hotel on Saturday. The family was stopped in a nearby alleyway where they were surrounded by police and 6 Medi hotel staff members. The woman was reportedly heard calling police the Gestapo and asking why they had to say. SAPOL is now investigating. I just want to generally say to anyone who says the police are like the Gestapo and lives to have it reported, a living proof that the police are nothing like the Gestapo.
Yeah. And also living proof that maybe not enough people study history anymore.
Totally.
Because like the Gestapo would mean different things. It would mean, invading neighbouring countries. It would mean trying to exterminate an entire race of people.
Yes.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to just implementing the laws as enacted by the Parliament. That's sort of the difference, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a minor difference.
Buy yourself a history book, darling.
Plans are in place for older Australians to receive a 4th COVID vaccine if recommended. Medical experts are considering whether to approve a second booster shot for the vulnerable population. The federal government says the supplies and logistics are sorted. More than a third of patients needing emergency care in our hospitals are not being seen on time. A Productivity Commission review of the nation's health services revealed that 37% of critical patients in South Australian emergency departments are not seen within clinically acceptable timeframes. And according to the report, average ambulance response times across the state increased by 10 minutes up to 32.8. The United Nations has warned of a deepening humanitarian crisis in Myanmar a year after the military seized power. A spokesperson says the overthrow of the elected government has resulted in more violence and a rapid rise in poverty.
They had a Myanmar fundraiser at Mitre 10 on Saturday.
Did they
when
really?
I was there, down on Belair Road. Yeah.
Is there a connection to the store?
No, I don't know. No, just, in the same way that one day it might be the local Scout chapter, but it was the Myanmar people.
Nice. Parents are being encouraged to limit the time their young children spend staring at screens. Japanese researchers have been looking at the effects on 1-year-olds. Boys with high screen time are more likely to be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder by the age of 3, but there were no effect for girls. That's a very curious study finding.
I wonder why it was so different. Were they playing different games or doing different things? Not if they're one, they'd just be sitting there.
Yeah, if they're one, I'd be interested in.
One's pretty young though to get on the iPad.
The freakish thing though is watching any kid I've seen that age, whoever just happens to get hold of their parent's phone, the way they can use it,
it's amazing
because they're native to it, and the technology's so intuitive these days. Just makes a 1-year-old brain goes, yeah, okay. I know if I click that or I scroll.
Knowing how to click off windows,
yep.
Knowing how to swipe to make new photos appear, things like that becomes second nature.
It scares the hell. You're watching, hang on, what the hell's this?
Oh yeah, they're better than I'm not trying to be self-deprecating here, but my children aged 4 and 6 are vastly better than I am at using a phone. Like my battery life's always playing up, so I have to go to settings. and then open battery, and then hit preserve battery or whatever.
Yeah, low battery mode.
Low battery mode. It takes me like 30 seconds to do it every time. Where's that? And I haven't got many apps.
Yeah.
I got 3 screens worth of stuff.
I guess it's similar to that theory that the best time to learn a second language is when you're really young.
100%.
Because your brain, just something about so I guess it's just a digital language. In a
totally.
sense.
Well, the reason I can still speak Spanish is I was 16 when I lived in Mexico.
Yep.
For a year in a town where hardly anybody spoke English. And it's amazing how quickly it changes, because about 5 years after I did that, when I went to Indonesia, I picked up reasonably good Indonesian because I was there for 3 months. Now I'm buggered if I can remember it. And it's just because you get... I suppose it's like a hard drive on a computer. There's only a certain amount of space in your brain for stuff. And like, when you get into your 20s and then onwards, it becomes things like, oh, I've got to pay that Telstra bill. Oh, I've got to do this for work. Oh, hang on. Interest rates are going to go up. Maybe you're like all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's what's filling up your
brain. None of that when you're 16.
All right, let's check the weather today. 24, the expected top. Might be 0.2 mils of rain if we get anything, so just a light spitting. 22, the top tomorrow, so it'll be cool tomorrow with an overnight low of just 15. 14, the overnight low on Thursday, warming up to 25. Gets to 28 Friday, 31 on Saturday, and then Sunday 33, Monday 33. So nice little respite for the next couple of days from the heat. Grossest text we've ever received, I reckon, on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line's just come through. I don't even know if I want to read it out.
Yeah. Oh, we should.
All right.
Troy on the Facebook live stream says that his dog ate a spilled fly trap and then breathed on him. He said, it was the foulest smell in my entire life. Good on you, Troy. Thanks for sharing.
Okay. Wally,
a problem shared is a problem halved.
Wally the Walnut says nothing wrong with flies. They taste yummy. I don't know what's happening on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line this morning.
Here's something to change the subject. Mike in Woodcroft, has anybody else noticed a large influx of white cape butterflies in South Australia?
Okay, well, we'll ask our bug expert after 8 o'clock about that as well.
There's certainly a lot of insect-related activities. Lovely, unless it's perhaps just a harbinger of the final days, but like frozen iguanas falling out of the trees in Florida.
I think it might be one of the plagues.
That is the best story.
It is great, isn't it?
Have you seen the footage of them?
Oh, yeah, they're sensational.
They could do you a lot of damage.
They're quite big.
Yeah.
23 minutes after 6. Tom Wren back in Adelaide and back on 5AA Breakfast right after this.
Get the garden you want at Garden Grove, with everything from the ground up. Plants and instant lawn, mulches, soils and bark, landscape and building materials, hardware, pavers and more. There's a playground for the kids while you enjoy coffee or lunch in the cafe. Garden Grove, Golden Grove Road, Golden Grove. Open 7 days. Phone 8251 1111 for delivery to your area.
Garden Grove, the garden that I want.
Okay, you've found your ideal block of land. Perfect location, perfect lifestyle. Now, it's time to stroll through the urban at the Selector Homes Display Village. Intelligently designed for a narrow block, the urban is packed with space to suit a young family or your upcoming retirement. Contemporary facades, stone-facing, stunning courtyard. You'll make the neighbours jealous. Visit the urban at the Selector Homes Display Village, Port Wakefield Road, Burton.
Terry White Chemmart has real deals on fragrances this Valentine's Day, like 70% off Burberry, 40% off Dolce & Gabbana and 35% off Paco Rabanne. Get real deals every day at Terry White Chemmart. Now that's real chemistry. T's and C's apply. Sale ends Feb 15.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is back and doubled the fun with 2 Scott Salisbury homes in Somerton Park to be won. Just moments from the beach. Both homes are fully furnished, absolutely stunning, and ready for you to live your dream mortgage-free. With a catalogue of more than 15,000 prizes to win, tickets won't last long. Get yours today and join the fight at homelottery.com.au. Licence M14133.
As a business owner, it's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. Like using the new CommBank Smart Terminal. Its dual SIM and Wi-Fi means you're always ready to take a payment. And its 1.1% flat rate transaction fee means you pay less when customers pay you. That's smart. Search CommBank Smart Terminal. Can lives here. Eligibility criteria, fees apply. For full T's and C's, visit commbank.com.au/smart terminal.
Hi there, I'm Grishma, a Specsavers optometrist.
Did you know that every Specsavers is locally owned and operated by an optometrist, just like me? We believe eye tests should reveal more, not cost more, which is why we include an OCT advanced 3D eye scan with every eye test at no extra charge. Does your optometrist? Experience the Specsavers difference and book your eye test today. We're here to look after your eye health and keep you safe in store. Visit specsavers.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
26 minutes after 6. It's an age since we've seen him, I think. Tom Wren back in the 5AA Breakfast studio. The Uluru Weekender by private jet, direct from Adelaide, departs February 25th. Book at ntnow.com.au. Guess Uluru coming up, by the way. First question after 6:30.
Every day this week.
$4,000 worth of holiday we've got to give away. We'll be doing it, $4,000 a day, I should say. We'll be giving away the second trip a little bit later today. Your first chance to guess is coming up after 6:30. But Reddy is back on deck. And I was just thinking, when was the last time we saw you in the studio? Because we didn't end the year in the studio.
No, I reckon it would have to be
November?
November, maybe.
Yeah, it would be. It feels like ages.
Yeah, it's been a season, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been ridiculous. Great to have you back. It's
good to be
just nice
back.
seeing people in real life as well, isn't it, Tom?
Isn't it? Like, it's just good to see you in the flesh, and
Yeah.
you're both looking fit and healthy.
Oh, yeah. A bit of sun over summer. You're looking
Your
terrific.
eyesight hasn't improved.
You must have just had... Seriously, mate. That's right. Spent too much time watching tennis balls bouncing around. Hey, you must have had two of the best weeks of your life in the last fortnight, Tom.
I was surprised. We were just talking off air saying, you know, it had the potential to be a bit of a fizzer of a tournament, but I think Ash Barty carried it. You know, Kyrgios and Kokonakis were incredible, albeit a little bit crazy at times. Thanasi was brilliant. Nick's unpredictable. And then Rafael Nadal winning was outstanding as well. I think, you know, he's the people's hero, so it was a really good 2 weeks. Still not 100% crowds, and there was a lot of backlash pre-tournament on Craig Tiley and the government.
Well, the lead up to the whole thing, it sounded like a total bloody shambles. The two headlines out of the Australian Open were the Djokovic farce, and whether Tilly was a dill who should be relieved of his duties as head of Tennis SA because of the whole permission fiasco.
Yep.
The moment the tournament started, it was great.
Yeah, well then they could finally start to concentrate on the tennis, and I think it actually came off pretty well. You know, hopefully next year we'll get back to 100% crowds, but who knows where we're going to land.
Nadal said today he stopped drinking for 4 months.
I know.
Yeah.
I would have thought as a Spaniard, how do you do that? Like, you know, you got all those
surely on
beautiful
the wines,
Riojas and the Garnacha and the, you know, if you're having like a plate of tapas, you want some sherry with it, don't you?
I thought they did pretty well though with the tournament, didn't they? In terms of the COVID testing and everything, you know, they got through.
Any issue whatsoever, was there?
Got through.
We only lost players pre-tournament, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
There was no one during.
Yep. I'm not sure how hard they probably tested.
Yeah,
them,
maybe don't ask questions.
But
run this joint.
Speaking of COVID, how's the AFL going to get through another season? They've got a big meeting today, and it all comes down to what they're going to do with the WA teams, I think. So
yeah. Are they still in the AFL?
Well, I reckon the ultimate up yours to Mark McGowan would be, listen, mate, to use the phrase, if I never hear it again, I'll go to my grave a happy man. In an abundance of caution, Fremantle and the West Coast Eagles aren't allowed to play this season.
Yeah. They can play amongst themselves.
There's no way that any side would want to...
the weekly derby.
Yeah, just play each other 21 times.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no way teams will want to go over there.
Basil Zemplis can host every game. It'll be a big Perth loving.
No one's going to want to go there and quarantine.
No.
And do all of that. That's just not going to happen.
Subjected to their nonsense rules. That bloke, if he wants to live in a total state of paranoia, it should be his problem, not Australia's problem.
So do you think they'll have to hub?
Well, I don't think so. It doesn't sound like that's going to happen.
Right.
They don't want players to have to hub again. I think, one, for cost, two, because they just don't want to do it. And like Pembo said, I don't think people want to have to be beholden to WA's laws. So,
do you reckon we're going to see a trickle-down effect where, you know, it'll be Team X, 4 players, out brackets coronavirus? So are we going to see an upward referral system where suddenly, you know, 4 blokes from Sturt will be out there playing for the Crows, or is there going to be like crazy top-ups?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it happened with the Big Bash, didn't it? I mean,
Yep.
that was almost farcical, the way that happened. But it could. I think the AFL would be desperate to avoid something like that. But I think we will have, like the NBA, situations where you've just got 7 or 8 players out any one day just due to COVID.
Could be some big SANFL comebacks, because if there's a real trickle-down effect, I'd never see, Macca playing for the Redlegs again.
Yeah,
Matty Doldig out there for the Double Blues again.
Hamish Hartley could be back for the Power.
Yeah, Hammer. Yeah, for sure. All sorts of craziness.
Yep.
Good on you, Rennie.
Good to see you back,
good to have
boys.
you back
See you,
on
Tom.
deck. Right on 6:30, 5AA News is on the way, and on the other side of it, our first clue of the morning for Guess Hoolaroo. Did you hear it yesterday, Rennie, or were you in transit? Are you
I've
busy?
never been. No, I need to catch up because
Okay.
I've never been.
This one, you'll like. In
This
fact,
is the way to get there.
You will be more likely than perhaps anyone on the floor this morning to get Guess Hoolaroo right today. It's
There's
got
a
a
clue.
bit of a sporting bent to it, as
Ooh,
I
I like
understand it. We've got the first clue for you coming up right after this.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 24 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra care, extra clean, extra safe. Book today, physioextra.com.
New documents show the federal government ignored several warnings about the need for greater COVID testing capabilities as early as 2020. Nine's Lucy Gray has the story.
Back in April 2020, a group of 3 technical experts sent multiple documents to senior members of the federal government outlining the need for broader testing capabilities to combat the spread of COVID-19. Among the recommendations was a push for fast, cheap testing kits to ease pressure on pathology labs conducting PCR testing. It also warned about the dangers of solely relying on overseas supply of rapid tests. At the time, health officials responded saying they didn't think the proposal was appropriate.
The Red Cross is urgently calling for blood donors to boost supplies. An estimated 20% of the nation's donors have been unable to give blood in recent weeks due to COVID. Lifeblood's Jen Salter says one donation can help save up to 3 lives.
What we really need is for people who are feeling well to step up to the plate, and donating blood only takes about an hour of your time. In South Australia right now, we need about 700 people over the next 2 weeks to come in and donate blood.
The World Health Organisation has wished Justin Trudeau a swift recovery from COVID. The Canadian Prime Minister plans to work from home after being diagnosed with the virus. The British Prime Minister is facing criticism after a report into a series of parties at Downing Street. Nine's UK correspondent Brett McLeod has the latest.
The report by senior civil servant Sue Gray looked at 16 parties breaching COVID restrictions, 12 of which are now being investigated by police, including one at Mr Johnson's own flat. She found there were failures of leadership and judgment by Number 10, leading to a House of Commons apology by Boris Johnson. His words had a galvanising effect on some Tory MPs, critics in his own party, including predecessor Theresa May, who said Mr Johnson either didn't understand the rules or didn't think they applied to him. Far from drawing a line under the scandals, this report has left Mr Johnson's hold on power as tenuous.
A fresh tax hike on beer is set to see Australians paying more. The excise duty per litre of alcohol has gone up to keep with inflation. Brewers Association of Australia Chief Executive John Preston says it's hurting the sector.
80% of the beer consumed in Australia is brewed here in Australia, and so it's bad news for brewers as well. We have an incredibly high rate of beer tax in this country, and as a country that does a really great job of brewing beer, that's a really damaging thing.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Uluru Weekender by private jet, direct from Adelaide. Departs February 25th. Book at ntnow.com.au.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. The AFL will hold a crucial board meeting today to work through what the start of the new season is going to look like. Nine's Jordan Tunbridge reports.
Ongoing uncertainty around Western Australia's border closure will be central to discussions during this morning's meeting between AFL officials. AFL Commission Chairman Richard Goyder says a decision is yet to be made on whether West Coast and Fremantle will begin the season outside of WA. He says it's unlikely clubs in other states will enter quarantine so the Eagles and Dockers can play at home.
I don't think there's going to be great appetite for players outside Western Australia to be quarantining. There's a very significant cost to the AFL in doing some of the things we've had to do over the last couple of years.
Mr. Goyder, who is also chairman of Qantas, will relocate from Perth to Melbourne in the coming weeks.
It's just been too hard for me to do my job with Qantas and the AFL based here with the border rules the way they've been and the recent change.
Well, it's transfer deadline day for English football. Barcelona is trying to secure a deal for Arsenal striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Dele Alli is having a medical at Everton, which has also signed Manchester United defender Donny van de Beek on loan. Former Spurs midfielder Christian Eriksen has joined Brentford on a 6-month deal. Briefly elsewhere, Paddy McCartan has joined his brother Tom at the Sydney Swans, signing as a rookie for the upcoming AFL season. And Formula One is making COVID-19 vaccination mandatory for all drivers and team members. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
There's double the fun with 2 Scott Salisbury homes to win in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
Heading for a top of 24 today and partly cloudy tomorrow 22 and 25 on Thursday. Right now it's 18 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 7. It's time to start Guess Uluru for this Tuesday morning. Yesterday we gave away $4,000 worth of holiday to Uluru, all thanks to NT Now. The Uluru Weekender by private jet, direct from Adelaide, includes accommodation and touring, departing February 25. Book now at ntnow.com.au, or do like our listener yesterday did. Listen to all the clues and call in and have your guess as who it is in Uluru. 8223 is the number. 8223 0055.
Such a good prize.
The way this works, it's a cracking
And your
prize.
mother-in-law can attest to it, Will.
She loves it. This is one of her favourite holidays she's ever been on in her life. The private jet experience, the tours they did, she just raves about the experience of the things.
We're really doing this job wrong, because I know that some of the sort of real big celebrities in radio, when they're giving away a lavish prize like this, they say, I know how good the Uluru flight package is because I did it myself.
Yes.
Whereas you're sitting there going, I know how good it is because my mother-in-law did it.
And I'm delighted for her.
I'm delighted for her too.
I know, but we'd be even more delighted if we went too.
I mean, in this whole 6 degrees of separation thing, at least you're closer to having gone than I am. All I can say is, oh, look, apparently they're great because Will Gooding's mother-in-law did one.
Well, look, here's the good news about the degrees of separation. We're going to know 5 more people that have been on it too, because we know they'll have won the competition.
That's right.
So,
exactly.
We can hear from even more people how good it is.
Some of our listener mates have done it. That's not a request, by the way.
So here's how it works.
We don't do that kind of nonsense.
We got 4 of these holidays to give away. 5 of these holidays to give away. 4 left. So we did one yesterday. $20,000 worth of holiday over the course of the week. It's just a simple game of guess who. 1 clue every half hour. You call in and have your guess. First caller through gets to have the guess. Clue number 1. I am an Aussie rules footballer.
Okay.
An Aussie rules footballer. Narrows it down from the 25 million it could have been to a couple 100,000.
Well, it could be a woman. Could be doesn't have to be AFL.
Yep. 8223.
I am an Aussie rules footballer.
Exactly. 8223 0055 is the number to call. First caller through gets guess number 1 on this Tuesday morning. Yesterday took all 5 clues. Took till 8:30 to give it away.
Yeah.
Could go off right now.
John Williamson, True Blue, yesterday.
John Williamson, True Blue. We learnt some things too about the mentality of the producers. Australian, alive.
Yeah.
They're two of the elements that are going to be consistent over the course of the week.
All the clues, all the people rather are Australians who are alive.
Okay, let's go to Melbourne because that's where we find John, who's the first caller through. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will.
Hey, John, before you guess, can you clear one thing up for me? Because I'm always stuffing it up when I read out the real estate ads and stuff. Is it pronounced Malvern or Malvern?
It's Malvern here. If we're in Melbourne, it would be Malvern, but no, it's definitely Malvern here.
Mal. Excellent.
Yep.
Mal. Thank you, mate.
No problem.
All right, John. Who do you think it is at Uluru for the tickets?
Ron Barassi.
Ron Barassi. Speaking of Melbourne, Barras, the great Ron Barassi. Well, look, we've only got one clue, and he was an Aussie rules footballer, so it does satisfy that part of it. Unfortunately, it is not Ron
Good guess, though,
Barassi,
John. I like it.
And Malvern. Thank you, John. Another clue coming up in the next half hour. So after 7 o'clock, there'll be another clue, another chance to win. And again, it goes off every day. We make sure this goes off every single day this week. $4,000 worth of holiday will be given away on 5AA Breakfast very, very shortly. Margaret, good morning.
Good morning. I'm out enjoying a walk on this beautiful morning. It's nice and cool and there's not a cloud in the sky.
Where are you having your stroll, Margaret?
Greenwich.
Oh,
I'm
beautiful.
delivering junk mail.
Good on you. I hope people are never nasty to you.
No, they're not. They're all lovely. We've been doing it for years in the same place, so
Oh, that's
yes,
good.
they just about know us by name.
Oh, beautiful.
On insects, we take a glass of water and put it beside the bedside each night, and we woke up this morning and John carried his glass out to the kitchen and he said, "What is this?" And he tipped the glass up so you could see what's in the bottom. And there was covering the bottom a giant cockroach.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
One of those big brown ones.
Yes. We have a miniature plague. I find them every so often scurrying. We're going to get them removed, but at the moment they're not huge in numbers, but they are there. So there's one insect.
They always remind me of living in Sydney, because over there, crikey, the cockroaches are just in plague proportions. But you don't see them that often in Adelaide.
No, you don't, and that's what. I've had things from Bunnings that they haven't worked. So I don't know whether they've got a nest somewhere or whether they come in on the clothesline or how they get in. I don't know.
Have you noticed lots of dragonflies at your place lately, Margaret?
No, we don't have anything but those tiny, weeny little black ants. They're a pest. And you only need to leave one crumb on the floor and they'll all be there.
They're very organised, aren't they?
They are. And they send messages to their relatives and they all congregate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Word gets around.
Exactly.
There's a crumb.
Yeah, I got relatives like that. Thank you, Margaret. Now...
Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret. We've got a bug expert coming on after 8 o'clock. So if you've got a bug-related observation this morning that you'd like to have tested by an expert, we'll happily put questions to them about what you've observed. Sam Tugwell, who's working for us this morning on 5AA Breakfast, had a cockroach-related meeting this morning. Not a meeting. It wasn't sort of in his diary, but he was in to have a shower and it was in there with him, which again wasn't organised, as I understand it. 822 38855 is the number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line as well. We're going to check traffic for the first time this morning. Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? We'll book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will. Roads flying well this morning. Simply some roadworks to keep in mind on the drive in today. Trinity Gardens, slow going for those intersection upgrade works at Portrush and McGill Roads. At Myrtle Bank, got works continuing Cross Road, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road, just out the bottom of the freeway. And slow going this morning at Ovingham, Torrens Road and Churchill Road, speeds down to 40 k's. Open week is coming to Good Life. Trade for 7 days with a $5 donation to Black Dog Institute, February 7 to 13. Download your guest pass now at goodlife.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Well, now we're joined by another happy Arbor Vitae customer. We all know by now that Arbor Vitae Joint Health contains potent, natural, anti-inflammatory and antioxidant ingredients, which may provide a whole bunch of benefits. Gary, when did you start taking Arbor Vitae and what for?
3 years ago, I started taking it for mild osteoarthritis. I had some pain in my knee. I'd heard about a product on the local radio station. I took it for 2 weeks and my pain simply went away.
Am I right in saying you were told you may need a knee replacement?
I just turned 50 and they were talking about a knee replacement. I thought, well, I may as well go and do it. And only that I heard about this product, the fear of a scalpel led me towards it. And I thought, well, what the hell, I'll give it a go, and the rest is history. It's brilliant.
So, Gary, you're a forklift driver. Your job, no doubt, would have a high level of labour involved. You've noticed significant benefits for you.
Yeah, after 2 weeks, I was sceptical that it might come back, and it hasn't. So, yeah, I do a lot of off and on, up and down. I'm pain-free, so hopefully it stays that way and forever.
So your message for everyone then, if they have any joint pain?
Take my word for it. Just take it. The worst that you can do is not like it or it doesn't work. That's the worst that can happen. Other than that, just give it a go.
Gary, thank you so much for that. If you'd like more information or you want to order, you can visit arbavitae.com.au or call 1300 879 863. Always follow the directions for use. This medicine may not be right for you. Read the label before purchase, and if symptoms persist, talk to your health professional.
Right now, SA Ambulance Service has never been busier.
000 ambulance emergency.
So I was fishing on a boat and the hook is stuck in my nose.
But every day, 000 receives more and more trivial calls,
My husband fell down and he's broken his big toe.
stopping them from getting to the real emergencies.
I've got a really bad jaw pain from brushing my teeth too hard.
For non-emergencies, visit the Health Direct website and save 000 for when it matters.
If your business could do with more business, you should try advertising here on the radio. FIVEaa can help turn your brand into a household name. We could do it with a jingle, or a really funny ad, or something deadly serious. Our audience is big enough to fill Adelaide Oval again and again. Get in touch with FIVEaa to find out how we can give your business more business.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
14 minutes to 7. We've got Hero of the Week coming up very shortly. We've got a hero you'd like to nominate for feats and generosity, great or small. 8223 is the number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line as well, 044808 1395. We'll check in with SAPOL first. Senior Constable Matt Brown is on the line. Morning to you, Matt.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah, well. A couple of drug arrests.
That's right. Of course, yesterday about 4:30 p.m, officers from the Southern District CIB attended a Seacombe Gardens house to conduct a search. And during the search, officers located 750 grams of methamphetamine, about 600 grams of cannabis, and nearly $9,000 in cash. So the 46-year-old man from the house was arrested and charged with trafficking a controlled drug and was refused bail to appear in the Christie's Beach Magistrates Court today. And the second one, guys, we'll roll straight into that one if that's all right.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, 3 people have been arrested after a traffic stop, which was a little bit out of the ordinary in Crowder Park. Police will allege about 2:40 a.m. today, a patrol spotted a Toyota van in Garfield Avenue, and police stopped the vehicle nearby, and 6 occupants jumped out. So it was almost like that's right. I think there should have been enough seats for them, but I'm not sure if they were setting some sort of Guinness World Record, but they ran off from the vehicle, and 3 of them were quickly apprehended nearby, but extra patrols and a police dog were called to the area to search for the remaining passengers, but the remaining occupants weren't located at this time. But during a search of the arrested trio, police located a trafficable amount of drugs, including Fantasy, or GHB as it's also known, and methamphetamine. So the 3 men that have been arrested, they'll face numerous charges, including trafficking and controlled drug, and so some good work by the patrols there. And like we always say on our media releases, anyone with information about the manufacture, sale or possession of illegal drugs is asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Good stuff, Matt. Thanks for that, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Senior Constable Matt Brown from SAPOL. Let's talk weather. Tom Bowick is on duty at the Weather Bureau. Morning to you, Tom.
Yeah, David and Will, g'day.
We've just got a report from out in the weather from Margaret saying the cool changes come through. It sounds like we're going to get a couple of days of respite.
Yes, certainly for Adelaide it's going to be sort of much cooler. We've had some heavy rain through the north of the state yesterday and overnight, so particularly sort of Port Augusta had 59 millimetres of rain, and much of that fell within an hour period of about between about 8 and 9 last night, causing flooding issues in the area. Broken Hill as well has had had rainfall totals in excess of 50 millimetres between sort of 4 and 5 last night. And in the far north of Ernabella, Pukucha, they've had a lot of rain up through there, over 100 millimetres of rain overnight. So very wet conditions through the north. Yeah.
Just on that, Tom, before we get to Adelaide, what's your advice been to the SES or the state government apparatus that you chat with about the situation in Coober Pedy? Is that likely to be the entirety of the rain, or is there even more to come?
Look, I think probably as far as Coober Pedy itself goes, we'll just have a quick look at that there. I think probably the major amount of rain that has sort of passed through that area, it's now further to the north, the expectation there. So look, they'll get a few more showers today, but really the heavier stuff is going to be further to the north. So we do have a severe weather warning current for heavy rainfall for areas probably north of about sort of roughly Maree to Coober Pedy there. So I think, as I said, most of it I think has gone from that area. But in the far north there near the northern border, there's still a possibility of some further falls of sort of 80 to 120 millimetres in the far north. So it's looking not so great up through that area. As far as Adelaide goes, certainly we're looking essentially dry for the next 7 days. So we've got just a slight chance of a shower this morning for the Adelaide area, but look, I think generally speaking it should be dry, and 24 degrees for a top today. So cooler conditions, 24 for Glenelg, 25 for Elizabeth, 21 for Mount Barker, 23 for Noarlunga. Wednesday looks like our coolest day, 22 degrees, or up to 25 for Thursday. And warming up for later in the week and the weekend, 28 for Friday, 31 for Saturday, 33 for Sunday, and 33 also for next Monday with those dry conditions the whole way through. And as far as the northern weather goes, look, I think it'll be with us in the sort of far north and northeast for Wednesday, but then conditions drying out as well. So sort of Thursday to early next week period there, they'll have dry weather right through there as well. So fingers crossed that'll assist with some drying of the conditions up through there, guys.
Absolutely. Good on you, Tom. Thank you for that. Tom Bowick, Senior Forecaster at the Weather Bureau. We're going to be crossing to Coober Pedy after 8:30 this morning. We'll speak with Jade from the local IGA there about what life's been like in living in a part of Australia that's suddenly cut off from the rest.
It is interesting. I mean, we've been talking here, and thanks to the person who texted through yesterday on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line about our touchstone for supply chain issues in the metropolitan area has been the absence of old El Paso's stand and stuffed taco shells. Tell you what, you'd be happy if you lived in Coober Pedy. That was all you couldn't find.
Yeah.
And you look at the pallets that the Royal Air Force guys are filling up onto the Herc. Pages 10 and 11, lovely photo spread there in the Tizer today. And there's basic stuff like just drinking water and soft drinks and bread, they need everything. And I can't imagine that there's too many Tony and Mark's type setups in Coober Pedy at the best of times.
No. We'll ask Regina at the IGA. I mean, what's his competition? Are they it?
I don't think they have a Mercato outlet in Coober Pedy.
No, I wouldn't have thought. 7 to 7. We're going to take a break. If you've got a hero of the week you'd like to nominate, 8223 0000 is the number to call right now.
Bridgestone Select are showing you some love in February. Treat yourself and your car to great deals with your 4th tyre free on selected Bridgestone car tyres. Conditions apply. For tyres and auto service you can count on, head for Bridgestone Select.
Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi have amazing deals on new, demo and used vehicles with over 250 cars arriving between now and the end of Feb. The only problem is we need to make room for the rebuild of the Wavell Mitsubishi showroom, so every car must go. All new Mitsubishi cars come with 10 years warranty and 10 years capped price servicing. Get in touch with the team at Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi, located in Morfett Vale, driven by Australian Motors, LVD 80.
Coles team members are starting year 3 as essential workers, safely providing essential products for Aussies during the pandemic. So thanks for always showing courtesy and respect while shopping, because supporting each other is something we all value. Coles, value the Australian way.
The next state election is in March 2022, and with over 7,000 jobs available, the Electoral Commission of South Australia needs your help. So if you want to earn some extra cash and help deliver democracy in South Australia, search SA Election Jobs to find an election job that suits you.
Hi, Susanna Toop here. Tenants, you're going to love this. Toop and Toop now gives you early access to rental properties up to 2 months before public release, with alerts direct to your inbox. Find your next home sooner. Register now at toop.com.au/rent.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 to 7, we've got another clue coming up very shortly. Guess Hoolaroo hasn't gone off yet this morning. We know it's an AFL footballer. No more than that yet, but another clue coming up after 7 o'clock. Right now, though, it's time for Hero of the Week. There's a saying that heroes begin at home. No, it's not the saying, but I've repurposed it for this segment this morning because I'm going to go first.
It's not a saying.
No, it's not. I just made it up. Will be, though.
As a great man once said.
I mentioned my heroes of the week in the context of introducing Sam Tugwell and Ruby, who are both in the studio with us today and producing the program where they would probably expect to be elsewhere. Sam, of course, you know, produces the sports show. The man's coming in at 5 o'clock and doing our show and then the sports show at the moment. We bade farewell to Ruby permanently last week. She was done. You talk about top-up players in the AFL and the NBA. Ruby's come back for a sort of a farewell tour today because, like every other workplace, we've had issues COVID-wise, and like every other workplace out there, it's well, you know, rumours of some people's demise have been greatly exaggerated. But like every workplace, people have had to do extra and go above and beyond just to keep things moving. So
is Ruby your nomination?
Ruby and Sam are my nominations this morning.
That's too kind, guys.
Yeah, because otherwise
you and I segment's over.
Otherwise, you and I would have had to do more work, David.
Yeah, that's true. So that is actually now you can put it that way. I second the nomination.
Okay, good, excellent. That's us done.
You've had Corona, haven't you, Rube?
Yes, ma'am.
How'd you go with it?
It was fine.
Yeah.
I'm
you're very young and healthy, though, aren't you?
Yeah. If I was going to get sick, it was not going to be bad.
I mean, you're not like a 52-year-old man who's made the occasional bad lifestyle choice.
No, I was probably surprisingly not, no. No, I was fixed by day 7.
That's good.
Yeah.
You've dodged it too, Sam?
No, I haven't had it yet.
That's good.
Very. I've had to do 7 days ISO as
You're
a close
young
contact.
too, aren't
That's
you?
about it. Do I look young?
Yeah, I reckon you.
62.
People say
and he's made a lot of bad life decisions.
We're on a similar path to you.
Not too late. Repent.
Start with you, Tuggers. Who's your hero of the week?
I've got to say that this sounds cliche, but the healthcare workers and the doctors out there at the moment, only because in the last week I've seen close hand in the emergency ward how diligent they've been, because my partner had to go in. No visitors, of course, but I was able to see a packed room in there, and I thought, gee, she's going to be in there all night. Went in and cut her finger to the bone. Unfortunately, in the house about 9 o'clock at night, thought she's going to be there till 5 a.m., 6 a.m. We dropped her off, and there was about at least 9 or 10, ambos lined up, ramped, and I just thought this is going to be a horrible evening. And this is their night every single night, these guys. And then to think that she was out by 2 a.m, they worked so hard to make sure that they can get everyone through, and they do a great job. I thought, that's amazing. In and out in about 4 hours.
Well done.
Incredible work. They just do a fantastic job. So I just have to shout out to them, their hero.
How's her finger?
Much better now, stitched up. The stitches are coming out soon, and it's not a very good looking.
Was it a meal preparation thing, or
no? Well, she's upset because it's her ring finger too, and there's nothing on it yet, so it's not going to look nice for the photos.
But you better get something on it.
It was against
as a matter of urgency.
Who's your hero, Ruby?
Well, I'm currently in the midst of packing up every single belonging that I own because I'm heading to uni this Saturday interstate. But
are you moving interstate?
Yeah, Newcastle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good town.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Newcastle's great.
Yeah, but I'm packing up everything, and I was at my mate's house last weekend, and I left my bathers at her place. Keep in mind, so I'm in Kenzie Park, and she's all the way in Ridleyton. Like, that's a solid 45-minute drive. She drove up yesterday to drop off the bathers that I left there.
Oh,
Really?
that's good stuff.
That's good.
That's good.
I was very grateful.
You need friends like that.
Yeah, that is a good friend. That's a hero, in fact.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You need your bathers in Newcastle.
Yes.
A lot of good beaches.
Yes.
You want to add a hero, David? Or
Mine is so obvious it's not funny. Ash Barty.
Yeah.
I just think Ash Barty deserves...
Good one.
I'd throw in Nadal there too, because obviously he is officially the greatest of all time. But Ash Barty, just I think for showing, this sort of kind of unassuming determination and getting it done without any carry-on or histrionics.
You can be. She's proven something that not all sports people can, not all great sports people can. You can be great and nice at the same time.
Yeah,
You can be great and likeable. It's actually possible. It's
Yeah.
just really hard, clearly.
5-1 down. Like, maybe hero's the wrong word. I don't really like the word hero in sport.
Well, unfortunately, it's the name of the segment, so we've got to go with it, David.
Well, yeah, no. Well, that's
and
true.
also, it's the song.
Yeah, it is the song.
So we kind of wedded ourselves to the hero word when we called it Hero of the Week, unfortunately.
That's true.
Hey,
that's what the song says. We're going to run with it.
We just do what the music tells us. Like right now, we're going to the news. In fact, we also do what Sam and Ruby tell us too. Thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate your heroes.
Cheers,
7 o'clock,
guys.
5AA News on the way. Another clue very shortly for Guess Hoolaroo.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 24 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. PhysioExtra.com.
A traffic stop at Karalta Park in the early hours of this morning turned into a drug bust. Senior Constable Matt Brown says 3 people were detained around 2:40.
During a search of the arrested trio, police located a trafficable amount of drugs, including fantasy, or GHB as it's also known, and methamphetamine. So the 3 men that have been arrested, they'll face numerous charges, including trafficking and controlled drug.
The federal government is under fire for ignoring several warnings about the need for broader COVID testing capabilities. In April 2020, a group of 3 technical experts sent multiple documents to senior health officials calling for adoption of low-cost rapid testing kits. They also raised the alarm about an over-reliance on PCR testing, which could buckle under the pressure of surging cases. Professor Paul Wood has told Nine the bureaucrats lacked foresight.
I think the government always had a habit of cherry-picking the advice to make sure that it fitted with what they felt was politically acceptable. None of what we're saying hasn't been used before. It just requires someone to actually stop and have a conversation.
A ban on blood donations from people living in the UK during the mad cow era could be overturned. Nine's Nathaniel Keesing has more.
The Therapeutic Goods Administration is considering lifting the donation restrictions on those living in Britain during the 80s and 90s mad cow disease epidemic. 1 in 5 regular donors are not turning up to their donation appointment due to a COVID infection or isolation.
The Prime Minister will deliver a key speech today designed to help lift the Coalition's election chances ahead of an expected May poll. Scott Morrison's address to the Press Club will focus on COVID recovery, including an extra $2 billion to help commercialise Australian research. Mr Morrison is hoping it will encourage more entrepreneurs, especially in areas like medicine, defence and clean energy. Economists predict the Reserve Bank won't lift the official cash rate when it meets today, but a rate rise is on the cards later in the year. The RBA is expected to maintain the cash rate at the historic low of 0.1%. Rate City's Sally Tyndall says a hike is being forecast as early as August.
They want to see wages grow before they pull the trigger on a rate hike because they want to make sure that people can afford it. But soaring inflation figures and falling unemployment figures could force the RBA's hand earlier.
The prescription of psychiatric medication for children has climbed more than 60% in the space of 7 years. An Adelaide University study has found scripts for antipsychotic drugs and antidepressants were up by 63% and 43% respectively between 2011 and 2018. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Uluru Weekender by Private Jet, direct from Adelaide. Departs February 25th. Book at ntnow.com.au.
you. Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with football. Port Adelaide is hopeful Charlie Dixon won't need surgery and could be free to return to training in the next month. Dixon suffered an ankle injury at training and there have been fears he could miss a big chunk of the season, but it's now looking less serious and that he won't need to go under the knife. Meantime, North Melbourne will reportedly appoint Dr. Sonia Hood as its first female president in the coming months. The Herald Sun claims Dr. Hood, who is the CEO of Community Hubs Australia, is preparing to replace Ben Buckley. Well, the future of the Australian men's cricket coach Justin Langer is in doubt. Fox Sports is reporting Cricket Australia could force him to reapply for his job. Langer's contract expires in June. The women's side will enjoy another day off ahead of the final ODI leg of the Ashes series. Belinda Clark medalist Ash Gardner has told Wide World of Sports they're looking forward to the final 3 matches of the series.
Another one day on Thursday here in Canberra, and then we go down to Melbourne for 2 more that lead straight to the World Cup. So it's a pretty busy period coming up, but our first and foremost thoughts are trying to win this Ashes.
There are reports Aussie Joe Ingles has suffered a torn ACL and will miss the rest of the NBA season. It's understood the 34-year-old was found to have had no other structural damage in his left knee. And a lay day has been called on day 3 of the Pipeline Surf Masters in Hawaii. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Roads looking pretty good this morning. Simply some roadworks to keep in mind. Trinity Gardens slow going for the intersection upgrade works at Portrush and McGill Roads. Myrtle Bank speeds also reduced there for works around Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Roads. And slow going today at Hackham Main South Road near River Road. Speeds down to 40 k's. Got cameras to Happy Valley Drive, Happy Valley and Main South Road out O'Halloran Hill. A Porto's double Bondi burger is anything but average with 2 fresh grilled chicken breast fillets, lettuce, chigs, mayo and a Porto's original chilli sauce for just $9.95. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Win a $3 million grand prize and $2 million early bird prize in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
Partly cloudy 24 today, partly cloudy tomorrow 22 and 25 on Thursday. Right now it's 18 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 after 7, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday. If you're joining us for the first time, we've got some good news for you. It was unfortunate news for our earlier listener, but that is our Guess Hoolaroo has not gone off this morning as yet. We've got another clue coming up for you in the next 15 minutes as we send another listener off on a $4,000 holiday to Uluru, thanks to the excellent people at NT. Now, we'll be chatting with them very shortly as well. The Weekender, of course, departs February 25. You can book now at ntnow.com.au. Stay listening because we've got clues for you, and every single time we read one out, we take the first caller through, and that person has a chance to win the prize. Took till 8:35-ish yesterday before it went off, but it could go off at any moment. We'll keep you in the frame and be giving it away today and every day this week. 4,000 holidays this week, all thanks to NT Now. They're just fantastic prizes. It's a trip of the lifetime, lifetime stuff.
Just ask Will's mother-in-law.
Exactly right. Yeah, we want to add to the list of people we know that have been there. So we can live, what do they say, viscerally through. Vicariously, not viscerally. Viscerally would actually be doing it, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, visceral experience. We'd be there.
Comes from viscera, which means your stomach.
Right.
In Latin.
Yeah. Well,
but it's got unpleasant connotations. Viscerally,
we'd like to live vicariously.
Yeah,
that's
vicariously is much preferable to viscerally.
I don't think there is a formulation of words that would have saved Boris Johnson, certainly at the moment. He made an apology overnight. We'll play that in just a sec, but it came following the release of the Sue Gray report into the lockdown parties that took place at Number 10, featuring the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, leading to the speculation that his job was very much on the line. She's published part of the report, can't do all of it because some of it's being investigated by the Metropolitan Police, so some of it's evidence that they want to hold for now, but came out with what she could to this point in time, and it contains some pretty damning passages. One that you'll hear a bit about in 5AA News and places across the day, where she blamed failures of leadership and judgment at Number 10 and in the Cabinet Office for these parties that did take place at a time where anyone else in the UK was having a party and they got arrested. Boris Johnson apologised yet again in Parliament.
Firstly, I want to say sorry. And I'm sorry for the things we simply didn't get right, and also sorry for the way that this matter has been handled. This pandemic was hard for everyone. We asked people across this country to make the most extraordinary sacrifices, not to meet loved ones, not to visit relatives before they died. And I understand the anger that people feel. But, Mr. Speaker, it isn't enough to say sorry. This is a moment when we must look at ourselves in the mirror and we must learn.
Now, see, that line, this pandemic has been hard for everyone, that is the great lie of COVID.
Yep.
Because the whole point of this story is that, well, clearly it hasn't been hard for everyone, because while they've been passing laws telling businesses to shut down and grieving children to stay away from their dying mothers and fathers and telling kids to learn from home and upend their education, etc., 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 they've been having parties at his place and he's been going to them. So spare us the cliches about we're all in this together, mate.
Came under withering attack, as you might imagine, across the Parliament, but as has been the case as more of the stories unfolded, some of the attacks have come from within his own side. And I actually thought the best question, the best point made, the most pointed remark was from his immediate predecessor, former British Prime Minister Theresa May, of his own side of politics, who had this to say.
What the Gray report does show is that Number 10 Downing Street was not observing the regulations they had imposed on members of the public. So either my right honourable friend had not read the rules, or didn't understand what they meant, and others around him, or they didn't think the rules applied to Number 10. Which was it?
It's a very important question. I want to hear the answer, even if other people don't. Prime Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker, that is not what the Gray report says. I suggest that she waits to see the conclusion of the inquiry.
It's like an extraordinary exchange in Parliament. She's sitting 3 seats behind him, very much on his side ideologically, but certainly not on this question, and not in support.
How pig-headed is he that he's still in the job?
It's extraordinary, and it's surely not sustainable.
I think the only possible explanation is that he's just pissed out of his head on gin and tonic and doesn't actually get it.
Thinks the party's still going.
Yeah, he thinks he's at the party. I tell you what, the party got a bit unruly towards the end when Theresa started ripping into me. But no, you're not at the party, mate. You're meant to be running the country.
We've been talking in the last few days about this developing situation regarding the streaming service Spotify online, where people like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell have said they want their music taken off the site because of some of the other things that exist on it, like the most popular podcast on earth, Joe Rogan's podcast, in which he's been criticised for giving air to views that have been conspiratorial, that have been questioning of COVID and some of the medical advice we've been getting. Well, we haven't heard his side to this point in time. He's uploaded now, though, a 10-minute long Instagram video in which he says he would try harder to get people with differing opinions on his show, and pled to be take steps to being a little more balanced.
Do I get things wrong? Absolutely, I get things wrong, but I try to correct them. Whenever I get something wrong, I try to correct it because I'm interested in telling the truth. I'm interested in finding out what the truth is. And I'm interested in having interesting conversations with people that have differing opinions. I'm not interested in only talking to people that have one perspective.
He has 11 million listeners per episode. It is a huge force.
See, I'm a bit torn on this issue because I can sort of see Spotify's logic insofar as the CEO finally came out yesterday and tried to explain what their thinking is on this. Are you going to let it get to a point where a bunch of artists can get together because they disagree with someone and say, well, if that person's allowed to be on this platform, then I'm leaving, and try to almost blackmail the proprietors into getting rid of the other person? Like, where does it end? And maybe they would argue, and I mean, you know, Neil Young had polio himself. He's got very strong views about the need to get vaccinated. And I totally agree with those views, obviously. I've repeatedly said it on the show. But, you know, it could become this sort of almost like a cancel culture arms race where, you know, every day the Spotify bosses come in to work out which people on their roster have demanded the sacking of other people on their roster overnight.
Yeah. And you know what, at the end of the day, it's a fool's errand because this is the internet. And anyone right now at home can, with a little microphone or speaking into their phone probably, upload a podcast and there'll be somewhere to host it. So you might not want it on the same streaming service where you are, but the success of the Joe Rogan podcast is not because it's on Spotify. It's on Spotify because it's successful. So if you find the reviews repugnant and you don't want to be associated with them, that's one thing. But if it's a crusade to make sure that those views aren't heard, you're not going to win that fight.
No.
There's an infinite number of places where it can be. So that's not the solution. We're going to stop pretending the solution to every opinion that people disagree with is that it should never be heard or seen from again.
What about the vast number of artists on Spotify who write songs about, you know, rape, murder, misogyny, you know, sort of gangster rap type stuff?
Well, I think the lesson of 2022 so far, or perhaps the 2021 too, is that views are only really worth protesting once lots of people are aware of them. You know, they've got to be popular and horrible.
Yeah.
They can't, if they're just sort of, you know, fringe horrible, well, they can be abided. That's all right.
Yeah.
Geez, we had a big scare. I don't know if you're aware of this, David, in the sporting world, and a sport that you and I have taken a particularly keen interest in. And I like to think this program has led the way in educating people about.
You're talking about curling.
I'm talking about curling.
Yeah.
You aware how close we've come to curling disaster before things even start?
No.
By the way, they start tomorrow night.
Okay.
Winter Olympics. Tali Gill almost couldn't compete because of a COVID scare.
This is Tali and Dean Tali Gill.
This is Tali and Dean.
Yeah.
There almost was
guys.
no Tali. You know, these are our Torval and Dean. There was almost no Tali because Tali got a COVID test. Thankfully, though, crisis has been averted.
I feel great. I mean, it's something that we both prepared for to happen, so it's not really a distraction. It's just something we both went through, and we're out now, and I feel, you know, absolutely ready to get out there.
So early headline for you there. Curling stars brush with disaster.
Oh.
What about that?
Don't blow your good material. That's David's daily headline right there. The good news is, so they had a test, and you know China are pursuing this COVID zero strategy at the moment with mixed success. She got a
new broom for Aussie curling squad.
Don't waste all your good
if
material.
She's out, yeah,
because we're going to need a fresh one at 8:55.
Okay, no worries.
All right. The problem is, of course, too. She spent some with her partner, so he was deemed a close contact. So thankfully, it was a false positive. She's subsequent tests have said she's negative and can compete. So Australia's quest for curling gold
on track.
Excellent. Starts tomorrow night. We're excited.
Opening ceremonies tomorrow, isn't it? Friday.
Obviously, there must be preliminary curling rounds on early.
Dance feature involving skating.
This is where it's good having Sam Tugwell working with us this morning.
He knows
He's
his
the sporting guru. He'll be watching the curling preliminaries and maybe even calling them for some website because he calls absolutely every sport on earth. Tuggers, he's an absolute gun. All right, let's check traffic, and after that, there's another clue for Guess Hoolaroo coming up. So stay listening and get thinking. You know it's an AFL footballer. Well, you know it's an Australian rules footballer, should I say. We don't know any more information.
And we also know it's not Ron Barassi.
And it's not Ron Barassi.
Yeah.
So if we go one at a time, we'll have an answer for you by 2042. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. The road's flying well this morning, which is great. Simply some roadworks to look out for. Intersection up roadworks at Myrtle Bank. That's for Glen Osmond across and Portrush Road, just out the bottom of the freeway there. Also, Trinity Gardens got some intersection works happening there too. Portrush and McGill Roads. And we're slow going today at Hackham, Main South Road near River Road. Speeds down to 40 k's. A few cameras about. Grand Scully Road, Clarendon and Nan Road at Woodside. Totally Workwear's back to work sale is on now. Spend over $100 in store for the chance to win a new $1,000 Totally Workwear wardrobe at every store. See website for details. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner. The definition of being fully vaccinated hasn't changed to include a booster dose, but an announcement is expected to be made in coming weeks. If you say, I'm fully vaccinated, then that means you've had the booster.
9 till 12 weekdays.
Professor Catherine Bennett, is our vaccination rate as good as it should be?
It really is important, particularly for the older people who are more vulnerable, to know that the booster really does make a difference.
As SA as Leon Biner. As SA as AA.
The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now, and it is sizzling with massive savings on new, demo and used Mazdas. And the great news? Plenty of stock is arriving daily. But remember, everybody wants to drive a Mazda in 2022. So hurry to avoid missing out. The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now with incredible savings. Hurry in now. Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road, LMVD 207428.
Bridgestone Select are showing you some love in February. Treat yourself and your car to great deals with your 4th tyre free on selected Bridgestone car tyres. Conditions apply. For tyres and auto service you can count on, head for Bridgestone Select.
I'm Travis Denham from Again Real Estate. It's often just one special feature that helps spark interest in a home. Outdoor blinds used to create entertaining areas really set a home apart. They add extra appeal to patios and alfresco areas, an investment that adds value for sure.
Improve, invest and add value with quality outdoor blinds by Country. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measure and quote.
Everybody loves their country. Fire, fire, go away. Come again, no one's a day.
Act now to be bushfire ready. Remember to do your 5-minute bushfire plan. Keep it up to date and share it with loved ones today. It's also important to stay informed. Watch the weather and listen to multiple sources of information. Why risk it? Go to cfs.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 minutes after 7. All right, it is time for another clue for Guess Hoolaroo. You know it's the best prize going around, $4,000 worth of holiday that we give away each and every day this week. 20 grand all up, thanks to the great people at NT Now. We're going to be chatting with Ben Mead in just a moment about this extraordinary holiday. In fact, Ben may be even on the line as we give it away, because clue number 2 is this. I am a one-club player. I am a one-club player. Australian rules footballer, one-club player. 8223 is the number. You can get calling now, all thanks to the great people at NT Now. Uluru Weekender by private jet. Don't discount that. Flying private. Direct from Adelaide, including accommodation and your tours, and they look spectacular. The things you get to do out there are just unbelievable. Departs February 25. Book now at ntnow.com.au. You'll be the first caller through, and just tell us, guess who in Uluru? Ben Mead is on the line. Ben, good morning to you, mate.
Good morning, Will. How are you going?
Great, mate. So just for the purpose of people that have tuned in and want to win this prize, and they've heard about, they've heard us raving about it, what are the elements of it that you would say are unique to this trip?
Will, I know your mother-in-law's been on this trip, and I know she had a fantastic time. But Ularu's a really special place. Will, I think if you haven't been to Central Australia and experienced the rock and the Indigenous culture, you're really missing out. It's an incredible trip. It's as you said, we travel by private jet, so you're travelling with 94 people. The aircraft stays with you with the flight crew for the weekend, and we've got 2 hosts on board. We get up and close with the culture, with the history, great food, great company. We do a terrific lunch on arrival on Friday, because we leave early Friday morning, about 9:30. Arrive to a lovely lunch at the 5-star Sales in the Desert Resort on arrival.
Wow. It's meant to be amazing, that place, Ben. I've seen pictures of it. It looks unreal.
Oh, it's brilliant. Like, when you consider how remote the resort is, it's absolutely incredible. There's a beautiful swimming pool there. It's, the rooms are beautifully appointed. It really is 5-star. And then that night we do an incredible night where we do drinks and canapes as the sun sets over Uluru. And then there's an incredible art installation called Field of Light, which I'm sure many of your listeners have heard about, which just illuminates as the sun goes down. And we do drinks and canapes, with the beautiful view over the Rock and Catajuta as these lights illuminate on the first night, and that's just incredible. It's a great way sort of to start the trip, and then we get guests out to Uluru. We do a terrific walk around the base of Uluru. We've got an optional opportunity for guests to do a Sounds of Silence dinner, which is a truly 5-star dinner as well. Which just has incredible views again over Uluru and Catajuta on one of the nights. So it really is it's a pretty jam-packed schedule, but it's absolutely incredible. It's 2 nights and 3 days, and
well, it sounds unreal. Anything that involves leaving the state has got my vote at the moment.
Absolutely.
But that sounds particularly excellent, mate.
Hey, Ben, we love working with you guys. This is such a great trip, and we want as many people to experience it as humanly possible, including our listeners who can play Guess Hoolaroo. Appreciate your time this morning. Leanne has called in with potentially the winning guess to Guess Hoolaroo this morning. 2 clues thus far. Leanne, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, well, you excited having heard Ben talk about this trip?
Yeah, it sounds really good, yes.
Sounds sensational.
All right. You're in early, Leanne. You haven't got all the clues. You've only got 2 of them, but who knows? Crazier things have happened. So lay your guess on us.
Is it Peter Malinauskas?
Well, I mean, okay, let's think about this. He does play Australian rules.
He plays for the mighty Adelaide Uni.
The Blacks.
He and he always has.
Yes.
One club player who plays Australian rules football.
I reckon he played a season for West Torrens, though.
Oh, did he?
Or West Adelaide.
Okay.
I think he played under 18 for him.
Oh, no.
I may be wrong.
Sorry, Leanne, it's not Peter Malinauskas. I like the outside-the-box thinking, though.
It doesn't get much more outside the box than that.
I do like
Good on
that.
you, Leanne.
Yeah, good guess. Good lateral thinking. We'll have another clue for you coming up in the next half hour on 5AA Breakfast, so stay listening. Guess Hoolaroo coming up after 7:30. Let's turn our attention to sport. This was a fascinating idea floated by a listener with Stephen Rowe on the 5AA Sports Show last night. Great to have Rowie back, by the way. I reckon there's a bit of merit in this.
I'm going to use the word preposterous. The timing of the men's, year after year, I think 3 out of the last 5 has gone to 5 sets. Finishes at 1:15 Melbourne, Sydney time. 1:45 our time. That's without the presentation. How about, now we have Barty, how about we use a bit of common sense? Swap the men's and the women's. Swap the women's to the Sunday night, so to be finished by about 10:30, so kids and normal people of the world can watch it and still go to work without being a danger to society if they want to watch the whole thing. And have the women's on the Sunday. The men's can stay up 1 o'clock. You can stay up on a Saturday night. The kids, you could even put matchsticks in their eyes, keep them watching. Could we possibly use a bit of bloody common sense and swap the days?
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
I love it.
That makes so much sense.
Well, why is it? It probably suggests a degree of, historic gender bias.
Totally.
That the men's final is regarded as the marquee event.
Yeah.
For us this year, the women's event was much more exciting watching Barty win.
Absolutely.
As great as the Nadal match was, and as great as Nadal is as a bloke and a player, the Barty game for us Aussies was the high point of this tournament.
That makes too much sense. It was 5 hours worth of tennis. You can't watch it. Well, you and I went to bed.
I know. I tapped out halfway through the 4th set and was just lying in bed going, I wish I was watching this.
I think that makes so much sense. That should just happen.
Well, we should send it off to Tennis Australia.
I reckon they're getting a few other emails at the moment. I'm not sure they'd find ours. All right. That's great stuff. And as we say, great to have Rowie back on deck as well on the 5AA Sports Show. 5AA News is on the way. Another guest coming up for Guess Hoolaroo. And also, Phil Curry in the nation's capital as we turn our attention to federal politics next.
There was more heroes in plain clothing than there was in uniform.
A Fire Inside. Streaming on 9 now. Made possible by NRMA Insurance.
You know us for our bright blue vans. Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. We are the proud winners of the Product Review Award for Plumbing in Australia for 2020 and 21. Did you know we offer $0 deposit interest-free payment plans, have no extra charge for after hours, and can also often be at your door within the hour? Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. Available 24/7.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Hi, it's Jane Riley here. I hope you enjoyed my amazing virtual Victorian road trip as much as I did sharing it with you. Thanks to the travel experts at FIVEaa, we explored Victoria's great southern touring route, including the Great Ocean Road. I hope it's inspired you to get up and go and see what's possible in Victoria. Remember, you can enjoy exclusive FIVEaa member benefits on your next Victorian getaway. Just Google FIVEaa Travel for more info.
Keep on moving on. Hi, Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. We've been helping Adelaide buyers and sellers for almost 40 years. That's why so many South Australians look to us for real estate advice. Right now, we're working with 4,904 buyers in Toorak Gardens, 4,651 in Wayville, and 4,938 buyers in McGill, all searching for their perfect property in these specific locations. If you're thinking of selling and would like to know how many buyers we're working with in your suburb, go to toop.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 24 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra care, extra clean, extra safe. Book today, physioextra.com.
There's been a drug bust at Carolta Park. A group of people tried to do a runner when they were pulled over in the early hours of this morning. Senior Constable Matt Brown says they caught up with some of them.
3 of them were quickly apprehended nearby, but extra patrols and a police dog were called to the area to search for the remaining passengers, but the remaining occupants weren't located at this time.
Fantasy and methamphetamine were allegedly seized and charges have been laid. The federal government is being accused of cherry-picking advice on COVID-19 testing at the beginning of the pandemic. Nine's Lucy Gray has more.
Back in April 2020, a group of technical experts began sending multiple documents to senior government officials, urging them to expand Australia's COVID testing program. The papers outlined a plan for mass screening using point-of-care testing in addition to PCR to alleviate pressure on pathology labs. They also called for greater collaboration with industry to boost sovereign manufacturing. At the time, health officials dismissed the suggestion, saying large-scale non-targeted testing was not recommended.
Zoos SA is expanding its COVID vaccination policy. All visitors 12 and over must now be fully vaxxed to enter the zoo in the city or Monarto. The previous rule applied to anyone aged 16 and over. The Canadian Prime Minister is the latest world leader to test positive for COVID-19. Justin Trudeau, who is fully vaccinated, tweeted he's feeling fine and will continue to work remotely. Boris Johnson has come under fire from his own side, with the first details of a report into parties at Downing Street during lockdown being made public. Nine's UK correspondent Brett McLeod reports.
The report by British civil servant Sue Gray is severely restricted because of the 16 parties she's looked at. 12 are now subject to criminal investigation by Scotland Yard, but she found some of the events should not have been allowed to take place and there were failures of leadership and judgment by number 10. Boris Johnson apologised in the House of Commons, but was immediately pointedly questioned by his predecessor, Theresa May, who said either Mr Johnson doesn't understand the rules or doesn't think they apply to him, while another leading Tory MP told Parliament he no longer supported Mr Johnson.
The UN Security Council has rebuffed Russia over tensions at the Ukrainian border, voting to hold an open hearing on the conflict. Nine's US correspondent Amelia Adams has the story.
In one of the sharpest confrontations in years at UN headquarters in New York, Russian officials accused Washington of whipping up hysteria, provoking escalation by falsely accusing Moscow of preparing to invade Ukraine. The US insisting Russia is undermining international peace and security by gathering troops on Ukraine's border, and warning that if Moscow walks away from diplomacy, there will be swift and severe consequences, as America and its allies prepare a list of Russian officials to hit with tough sanctions. Ukraine's foreign minister told the meeting now is the time for Russia to make concessions and move troops back from the border.
Now Returning to 5AA Sport.
Uluru Weekender by private jet, direct from Adelaide. Departs February 25th. Book at ntnow.com.au.
What's happening in the world of footy, Tom Wren?
Well, Mel, the AFL board will meet to discuss what the start of the new season is going to look like. WA's hard border could force a rework of the premiership without a certain time frame when it will reopen. Meantime, Port Adelaide's hopeful forward Charlie Dixon may not need surgery and could be free to return to training in the next month. That's after suffering an ankle injury in the pre-season. Adelaide ruckman Riley O'Brien, meantime, has set lofty heights for the upcoming season, saying he wants to be the best ruckman in the competition. Well, Jade Hunt is among the players impressing Melbourne coaches after missing out on the premiership win. The rebounding defender played 20 games last season but lost his spot in the side due to an untimely injury. Demons assistant coach Troy Chaplin says he's expecting Hunt to have a big year.
Had that foot injury towards the end of the year, which was really disappointing for him because he's been one of our most consistent defenders there for a period of time. So he had a little bit of surgery before Christmas, but once again, he's come back in really good condition as well. And he's got a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, which is a good thing, and it's just about him channeling that the right way. But
Australian cricket coach Justin Langer has reportedly told Cricket Australia he won't tour Pakistan next month if his contract isn't renewed beyond its June expiry. Meantime, the Australian women's side has another day off before the one-day international leg of the Ashes begins on Thursday. The Socceroos will take on Oman tomorrow as they prepare for their must-win World Cup qualifier early tomorrow morning our time. Adelaide United's Craig Goodwin telling Rowie the team is ready.
Yeah, I think everyone's feeling good and ready to go. The mood in the group is positive. We know it's a very big game. We know that we can't afford to slip up many more points.
Yeah, they've got to win that one. The Socceroos are just 1 point behind second place Japan. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Roads flowing really well this morning, which is great news. Simply some roadworks to look out for today. Myrtle Bank, those speeds reduced for works around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road, just down the bottom of the freeway there. Got intersection works happening at Trinity Gardens this morning. Pretty slow going to Portrush and McGill Roads, and speeds at 40 at Hackham, Main South Road near River Road. A couple of cameras to Flaxley Road, Mount Barker, and Nairn Road at Woodside. Boosters are available 3 months from your second dose at GPs, pharmacies and SA Health clinics. Book now at covidvaccine.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
There's double the fun with 2 Scott Salisbury homes to win in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
Partly cloudy 24 today, partly cloudy tomorrow 22, then up to 25 degrees and partly cloudy on Thursday. Right now it's 18. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 8. Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review shortly. He's having some trouble with protesters in Canberra at the moment. He might have seen some pictures yesterday. They're still there in number, and he's trying to find a park somewhere safe where he can pull over and have a chat with us about the state of things. So we'll chat with him very, very shortly. First, though, in focus here in South Australia, we were just chatting about this during 5AA News, a pretty extraordinary day in South Australian courts yesterday.
Yeah, well, we all have a bad day at work, but I think that collectively the South Australian judiciary had an absolute shocker yesterday. We got a text earlier, and I got to say, I could not agree with it more, from Wayne. G'day, fellas. I'm absolutely disgusted and furious that Anthony Ogar can be granted bail after allegedly murdering his wife at Port Hughes. What is happening to our judicial system? 100% Wayne. Part of the hearing there that I find remarkable is that the lawyer representing Mr. Ogar said that his client had served a significant period of his life in the armed forces and on that basis was likely to obey instructions surrounding his bail conditions. Just extraordinary. The bloke's accused of killing his wife in cold blood, and he's free to get around as he wishes, subject to some less than onerous restrictions. The other one, and I just think this sends the most deplorable signal, police are our front line against the antisocial and the unpleasant, and they deserve special protections. Well, the fact that a bloke who through his own volition has become a drunk and a drug addict, and spare us the sob story about how he had a motorcycle accident and after that sort of descended into a pit of misery. There's plenty of other people who've had prangs and don't respond by turning into drug-addled half-wits, like Joshua Paul Spencer. So he's punched a police officer 3 times in the face, leaving him needing stitches. And this is the idea of the court's idea of being tough. You've been given a chance, and if you waste that chance, you can expect no mercy, because you will have descended to a place where you've decided to immolate every chance I have given to you. The picture of Australian society is not and can never be based upon the practice of self-pity and juvenile disregard for others. If that continues, then we are all doomed, because we've failed to comprehend the voice of our own conscience. Well, they're weasel words from the judge, because he gave him a fully suspended sentence. You punch a cop in the head 3 times, and you walk free. Just extraordinary.
Outrageous.
Now, the other one is that yet again, the sister, Eileen Cullerton, whose sister Anne Marie was murdered back in 1988, the scumbag who did that to her, after breaching parole 6 times, he's back in court saying he wants another shot at freedom. So we're going to hand over breaking at 8 today to Eileen, who in her sister's memory is going to walk us through exactly why it is that the courts have deemed fit to give this guy chance number 7 at getting out.
Of course, tomorrow morning we'll take you inside the courtroom with Sean Fuster as we go round the courts for more discussion. Let's head to Canberra now. Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review joins us. Phil, you got caught up in the protest there, did you?
Oh, the anti-vaxxers turned up yesterday, but they're not too smart, we know that, but they actually got the wrong week. I think they thought Parliament was sitting this week. So they turned up outside and demanded all these politicians come out and talk to them, and no one was here. So they yelled at an empty building for half the day and left. But
group of people famous for doing their own research.
Yeah, I mean, they're brilliant. So anyway, but
maybe they say, well, you know, we've been told by the so-called powers that be that Parliament's not sitting. We beg to differ.
Yeah. Therefore, they're Pfizer masters who own them. So the coppers have got the place ringed up this morning. So it's just a bit hard to get in, but I've just snuck through the roadblock and I'm just parked on the footpath talking to you.
Phil, based on the way...
a heavy fog, Will.
Based on the way that you...
Thank you, Phil.
Heavy fog.
Very heavy fog. One is tempted to describe it. Yes,
yeah. Based on the latest opinion polls, mate, Scott Morrison might be happy at the idea of Parliament being prevented from sitting again. It's a shambles, but is it a recoverable shambles? Because I was saying yesterday, 3 years ago, everyone was saying that you'd put your house on Bill Shorten to win the election, and he didn't.
Yeah. Look, it's last election taught us never to make the big call, and I don't think anyone's who's going to do it this time. It's going to be hard. Look, it's definitely going to be hard for the PM. Like something happened over the summer, and people just they've had a gutful with the Omicron, and everyone, a lot of people somehow got disrupted. And the interesting thing is that it just seems most of the blame is ending up with the feds. And that's sort of how politics is sometimes. People are just unhappy, and they'll just blame the government, if you like. But there was this sort of collective decision. All the states opened up. I actually, as I said yesterday, I've never seen the National Cabinet so united, and the premiers all held their nerves during the summer and state, including Stephen Marshall took a very gutsy decision, and given he's got an election in March. So it was a sort of a collective decision by all our leaders to persist with opening and push through this thing, but a lot of the blame just landed with the PM and no one else, and the failure to have those rapid antigen tests has really come back to bite. So look, people are cranky. He's at the press club today. He's going to be giving a good speech about sort of resilience and probably acknowledge the errors that have been made and so forth, and urge everyone to stick with him. So one speech alone doesn't change anything, but it's he'll sort of the fight back begins today, if you like. But they'll be calling an election in 2 months' time, so it's not a long time. And just whether they can work the old magic like they did 3 years ago. It's always harder the second time, but we'll see. It's not Labor's confident, but they're not getting carried away either.
Good stuff, Phil. We'll catch up again later in the week, and good to hear you're managing to get into the building. Well, fingers crossed you can. Hopefully.
I'll be in.
Excellent.
Good on you, Phil.
The 5G chip in my head. I can see it.
Good on you, mate.
Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review. Hey, we've got
studied biochemistry before he became a journo, Phil. He's a man of science.
That's right. He certainly is. Hey, We have got another clue coming up for you in a moment with regard to Guess Hoolaroo. Still hasn't gone off this morning. We will be giving away $4,000 worth of holiday featuring a private jet that'll take you to Uluru direct from Adelaide. We'll be giving it away before 9 o'clock this morning. The clue, we don't repeat the clues, but you might be able to read something into one of them by way of Buffalo Bill's tweet to us, who says Mally, Peter Malinauskas, is not a one-club player. Played at Kenilworth Football Club in the famed 02-03 season.
Famed.
I added famed. I don't know how it ended up, but it felt like it needed a little bit of zhuzhing in the 02-03 season. So Mally did not satisfy at least one of the clues. We've got another clue coming up for you in just a moment. And to that excellent Call to Rowies program last night, Ben Jordan has tweeted us and says on the Australian Open, worth noting since Nadal's first win in 2009, there have now been 7 5-set finals out of 13. So we get one of those mammoth marathon games every 2 years, basically. But he said before that, there hadn't been a 5-set final since 1988 when Pat Cash lost to Mats Wilander. So there hadn't been one for, 21 years before that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gee, I find them unwatchable because so much of that, and the one I still get sad thinking about was Rafter versus Ivanisevic. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Wimbledon? What was it, like 10-8 in the fifth or something?
Yeah.
And it just comes down to mental stuff. Like, so much of tennis is like a person at war with themselves.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I reckon by the time you get to the 18th game of the fifth set, I think the fitness plays an incredibly large role.
Mm.
Which is, one of the arguments why they want it shortened. You want not just the fittest to win, the best player, but I
like it.
I like the theatre of it.
Yeah, I like the 2-game gap.
Yeah, wearing you down to the point of.
It should be part of it.
There's something absolute about it that I like. It's not like a cop-out ending to a fierce contest. It gets resolved one way or the other.
Yeah.
All right, let's check traffic, and we'll give you another clue in a moment. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. It's a good-looking day on the roads. Everything flowing pretty well. Simply some roadworks to look out for today. Myrtle Bank speeds reduced around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road, just down the bottom of the freeway there. Also, Trinity Gardens got some intersection upgrade works, Portrush and McGill Roads, and speeds down to 40 at the moment at Ovingham, Torrens Road and Churchill Road. A couple of cameras, Woodside Road at Lobethal and Wellington Road at Mount Barker. Clean is the new healthy at Guzmani Gomez Mexican Kitchen. No added preservatives, artificial flavours, colours or unacceptable additives. Burritos and bowls just $9.90 via the GYG app. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
This is the sound of Julian's bargain price vacuum with deep express suction. This is the sound of Julian trying to fix his bargain price vacuum, which infuriates him deeply. Yes, this is the sound of bargain regret. When it comes to the important stuff, like insurance, don't risk it. Go to Amy instead. Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by FIVEaa Limited Trading as Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au. TMD also available.
The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is back and doubled the fun with 2 Scott Salisbury homes in Somerton Park to be won. Just moments from the beach. Both homes are fully furnished, absolutely stunning, and ready for you to live your dream mortgage-free. With a catalogue of more than 15,000 prizes to win, tickets won't last long. Get yours today and join the fight at homelottery.com.au. Licence M14133.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability. Get world-leading safety and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service and hire. Get a Toyota forklift.
If ever there was a time where you need to have the ability to get emergency help while alone, it is right now. Whether you have a sudden illness or a nasty fall, just a press of a button and help will be on its way. For more information, go to carealert.com.au.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell & O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell & O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 to 8, and clue number 3 is here in my hands right now. For the
I love this competition.
Guess Hoolaroo. It's good fun, isn't it?
Oh, it's good.
So, this is a sporting one today, and remember, a different theme each and every day this week. $4,000 worth of trip, thanks to NT Now. Uluru Weekender by private jet, direct from Adelaide, including accommodation and touring. Departs February 25th. Book now at ntnow.com.au. A clue every half hour and a chance to win every half hour. You just need to be the first caller through. The clue right here and now. Clue number 3. I played all my games in the Sandful.
Yeah, okay. I've locked it in. I've got my guess here.
Oh, have you?
I've put it in the safe box there.
Okay, clue number 3. I played all my games in the Sandful. And I used to say SANFL. They wanted it to be pronounced Sandful, so don't complain.
SANFL, I still say SANFL.
I know, but they say they wanted it. They
who are they?
Well, the SANFL.
Oh, okay. The Sandful.
Yeah, the Sandful. Their official edict was...
Who cares? What difference does it make?
I don't know.
You say potato?
I know.
I say potato.
I try to respect their wishes.
Actually, no one says potato.
No one does.
But plenty of people still say SANFL.
I try to respect their wishes against my own will. And then
you don't even like SANFL.
I don't dislike their SANFL. I just you know... It's great because
the ultimate form of the game, Will.
I get to see where all the draft picks come from. All right, let's
which club can we pillage in July?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's check the weather first. Jessica Braithwaite from 9 News is on the line. Morning to you, Jessica.
Good morning. There's a lot going on this morning with the weather. I tell you what, I was just having a look to see how much rain came in up north overnight. I think when I was on air last night, we had like 22 millimetres at Ernabella. Now it's up to 104. Port Augusta's had more than 60 millimetres. So those big outback rains are really rolling through at the moment. But for Adelaide, well, like it's such a contrast. You know, we've got clear skies there. There was the outside chance of a shower this morning. We haven't really seen that. It's a bit windy by the coast. We've got marine wind warnings in place today. And there's a temperature drop too, a good 10-degree temperature drop. Yesterday we were up to 35, but today we're just going for 24 degrees. So a couple of milder days through the middle of the week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, will probably be the cooler day of the week with just 22. But then we start to warm back up again pretty quickly. Thursday, 25, looking dry, back up to 28 degrees on Friday. And then by the weekend, we're into the low 30s again, 31 degrees on Saturday, mostly sunny. Sunday, again, mostly sunny. Cracking weekend, actually, 33 degrees. And staying warm for the beginning of next week. So really, we've got basically a whole week of dry and sunny weather. So a huge contrast to what we've got going on up north. So, yeah, lots to watch at the moment.
Yeah, most certainly.
A state of two halves.
Thank you very much for that. Jessica Braithwaite for 9 News. And a reminder, we're going to be crossing to Cooper Pedy after 8:30 today. Lucy had a great chat with Jade, who runs the IGA there. We're going to get a sense of what it's like. I mean, shelves are bare. 20 tonnes of aid got airlifted into Cooper Pedy yesterday. And then, as we heard last night, the north of the state got another 100 mils of rain overnight. So we'll get an update from them on the ground very, very shortly.
If we've got any listeners in Port Augusta or on the app, give us a buzz and tell us what you've woken up to this morning.
Absolutely. All right, let's see if we can give away a trip to even further north to Uluru this morning. Sam in Bellevue Heights has guest number 3 for us. Sam, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. You across all the clues thus far?
I heard the first one and I just heard that one, so
okay.
I've missed the other one, but I'll give it a crack.
All right, let's hear your guess.
Gary McIntosh?
Gary McIntosh. Well, he is a footballer. He is a one-club player. Played all his games in the Sandful. Famously so. Is it?
Sam, I've got to say, that's my guess too. I've written that down on a bit of paper. I've got no idea what the answers are, I should stress, but that's my guess as well.
It is not Gary
come on.
McIntosh.
Oh, wow.
Sorry,
What a
Sam.
rort.
And sorry to you, David, who...
Bad luck, Sam.
Somehow you're more disappointed than Sam and you weren't even eligible for the prize.
I'm the idiot in the pub who's not taking part in the quiz night and turns around and goes, Paraguay!
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows Asuncion's the capital of Paraguay.
Bad luck, Sam.
Sorry, Sam.
But good news for everyone else. That means there's another clue coming up after 8 o'clock and
Clue
another
2,
chance to win.
Clue 2, I'm a one-club player. There's a picture of Gary McIntosh in the Oxford Dictionary next to the term one-club player. Who's more one-club player than Gary McIntosh?
Well, given it's a statistical measure, David, I think there's probably heaps of them.
No, I go quantitative. With 3 T's.
Oh, right, because he's played the most. He's the most one-club player.
He's the ultimate one-club player.
I'm not even sure that's true either.
And I say that as a Sturt fan. He is the absolute zenith.
Yeah, Santo was
he wouldn't even go to the AFL Hall of Fame because he thinks he's a wank.
Yeah.
He's I'm not doing that. All I care about is
the clue was I am a one-club player. Not the one-club player David rates the most.
All right, you pedant.
All right, let's.
I stand with Sam. Hashtag I stand with Sam with Velvy Heights.
All right, let's give it over to John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 64.
Okay, now we present the top 5 reasons it's great that we don't have the QR code at the supermarket anymore. Yeah. Number 5. Because we know something's gone on too long when people start to Google, what does QR stand for? Yeah. Number 4. Because my phone is filling up with all these photographs of QR codes and no one's told me who I send them to. Number 3. Because by now, surely Bill Gates has all the information he needs. Number 2, these are the top 5 reasons it's great that we don't have to QR code at the supermarket anymore. Number 2, because that mottled black and white image is playing tricks on my mind. The other day I was out walking and a magpie swooped me, and without thinking I scanned it with my phone and ended up with a 12-month Port Adelaide membership. And the number 1 reason it's great we don't have to QR code at the supermarket anymore... because it's really time-consuming. By the time you've pushed a defenceless old lady to the floor, stepped over her, scanned your code, and gone inside, there's hardly anything left in the meat section. And that is the top 5 reasons we don't have the QR code at the supermarket. And by the way, QR stands for quick response. Thank you.
Thank you, John Blake. More from Blakey.
I was just going to do a Google search. I had no idea what QR stood for.
No, I didn't.
Did you know?
No, I hadn't got to that point yet.
Yeah.
More from John Blake after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. Ben Jordan just sent us another tweet. He said, Peter Supercarey says, hold my beer. 448 games at the base. Thank you, Ben, for that. So lots of good text coming through on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line as well. Tessa in Paraka had a late entry for Hero of the Week. It was you, David, for your curling puns. Did a lot of early work on the David's Daily headline. An hour from now, we'll find out what actually makes the headline of the morning. Blackie even has a suggestion. He says, clean sweep for easy slide into curling. Thank you, Blackie.
You're going to put me out of a job, mate. That's good.
Good text, too, from someone on the question of flipping the men's and women's finals. They say the tennis broadcast is all about overseas millions watching Friday and Saturday for them. That's where the money is. That's probably a good point. They're not doing things just for the benefit of the Australian audience, are they?
Exactly. Another good one from Sue in Christie's Beach, talking about how her and her husband are being absolutely ravaged by mosquitoes at the moment. Talking about insects, we're going to be catching up with a, what are they called? Etymologist? What's an insect expert?
I think it is, isn't it? But I'm not sure what the...
Ento or... one's language and one's insects.
I'll Google it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Etymology is the study of words.
So entomology is insects, isn't it? Ento?
We'll find out with an expert in bugs.
Yeah, well,
keep it simple.
Yeah, we'll ask her what her la-di-da title is. But yeah, mosquito plague as well. They're out in force. Yeah, well, Sue's covered in bites.
All right. Well, that's good enough. We've surveyed Sue, and she says there's a plague.
Let's run with that.
2 to 8.
I wasn't sure about making new mates when I moved to FIVEaa. Turns out I didn't have to worry. I do balance classes with the troops twice a week, and then I catch up with everyone when I man the bar for happy hour. That's about the right balance for me. Yeah, well, I wish I'd made the move to FIVEaa sooner.
There's never been a better time to take the first step to great retirement living. Search FIVEaa First Step today.
There are nights when you enjoy listening to quiet, empty streets. Then there are nights when all you want to hear is a siren in the distance.
SA ambulance, what's your emergency?
Oh, but please help. My daughter's not breathing. I need an ambulance.
I'm organising...
The Marshall government cut $11 million of ambulance service funding in its first 2 years, leaving our ambulance service in crisis. South Australians are dying for more ambos.
Authorised L. Watkins Ambulance Employees Association of SA Adelaide.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. I believe the best investment you can make in your home is beautiful all-new National Wall and Floor tiles in your kitchen and bathrooms. Potentially add thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to the value of your home now with all-new National Wall and Floor tiles in your kitchen and bathrooms. It may well be the very best investment you'll ever make in your home. So don't delay. Order your all-new National Tiles now.
Hey, it's Callum here. Family safety is everything to the team at Edwardstown Mazda, especially on the roads. So if your car's due for a service or something's not quite right, take it to Edwardstown Mazda for servicing and repairs. They only use genuine parts, which is a massive plus, and they service all makes and models. It doesn't have to be a Mazda to get the Edwardstown Mazda treatment. One service centre for the whole family.
It's gotta be
Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 24 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. PhysioExtra.com.
3 people have been arrested after a traffic stop at Carolta Park. During a search of the trio, police located a trafficable amount of drugs, including fantasy and methamphetamine. A gel blaster and ammunition were found in the van. The group, aged 25, 36 and 37, have been charged. Offences include carrying an offensive weapon after a small axe and metal pole were also located in the vehicle. There's been a scathing attack on the federal government's approach to COVID-19 testing. In April 2020, a group of 3 technical experts sent multiple documents to senior bureaucrats urging them to expand their testing capabilities. The trio warned about the risks of solely relying on PCR testing and overseas supply of rapid tests. Pharmaceutical expert Professor Paul Wood has told Nine the government should have heeded the warnings.
It was very obvious from the start that PCR testing on its own wouldn't be enough. So, we missed out in so many different ways because we just could not get anyone to think about what was going to happen as this pandemic evolved.
All teenagers will now need to be double vaccinated against COVID to visit the zoo or Monarto. Zoos SA has expanded the entry rules for anyone aged 16 and over to 12 and over. They say it's about offering a safe space, and there are concerns about the zoo's residents given some animals overseas have contracted the virus. A new report card paints a worrying picture for SA's health system. The Productivity Commission report shows we have the worst ambulance response times of all capital cities. And Shadow Health Minister Chris Picton said it's getting progressively worse.
This is extremely worrying for South Australians who might need an ambulance urgently as to whether that ambulance is going to be able to receive them on time. Ultimately, a delayed ambulance has very worrying implications in terms of somebody's outcomes, and this is extremely concerning for so many South Australians.
The report also shows emergency treatment in hospitals, urgent elective surgery and dental care in SA have all deteriorated in the past year. Boris Johnson has faced a wave of criticism on the floor of the British Parliament after a scathing report into illegal parties held in Downing Street during lockdown. The initial findings identify a failure of leadership and judgment in his office, but he's refusing to resign.
We ask people across this country to make the most extraordinary sacrifices, not to meet loved ones, not to visit relatives before they died. And I understand the anger that people feel.
The The full report has not yet been released as police are investigating some of the gatherings. The UN Security Council has rebuffed Russia over tensions on the Ukraine border, voting to hold an open hearing on the conflict. Both the US and Russia have accused each other of being provocative when it comes to discussions about the build-up of Russian forces. Australian man Ashley is waiting for a visa issue for his son to be resolved before he can leave Kiev and says it's a tense time.
My wife, she's really worried, very worried. My family in Australia are very worried, and all my friends. I've been getting just emails and texts every morning, you know. When are you getting out? Have you left yet? What are you doing?
Parents are being encouraged to limit the time their young children spend staring at screens. Japanese researchers have been looking at the effects on 1-year-olds. Boys with high screen time are more likely to be diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder by the age of 3, but there was no found effect for girls. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Uluru Weekender by private jet, direct from Adelaide. Departs February 25th. Book at ntnow.com.au.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide is hopeful forward Charlie Dixon won't need surgery and could be free to return to training in the next month. Dixon suffered an ankle injury at training and there have been fears he could miss a big chunk of the season, but it's looking less serious and that he won't now need to go under the knife. Let's go to soccer. Perth Glory has beaten the Wellington Phoenix 3-2 in the A-League women's competition. In the A-League for the men, Macarthur FC will take on Western United tonight. Adelaide United currently sits in third place on the table but has played more games than any other side in the competition. Red Star Craig Goodwin played a big role in the Socceroos' 4-0 win against Vietnam last week, and he's told Rowie the side is confident they can still automatically qualify for the World Cup, starting with a win against Oman early tomorrow morning, our time.
It is in our hands still. If we win this game against Oman, we're right in the thick of it, and then the next camp will be massive against Saudi and Japan, both games.
Meantime, former Arsenal captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is having a medical at Barcelona on transfer deadline day. The Gunners are reportedly willing to allow him to leave on a free transfer. The Utah Jazz has confirmed Joe Ingles has torn his ACL during yesterday's loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The 34-year-old Boomer is in the final year of his contract and will miss the rest of the NBA season. And Australia's women's cricket team has another day off today before preparations begin for the final leg of the Ashes. The first of 3 one-days will be played on Thursday in Canberra. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Good looking day on the roads at the moment, which is nice. Simply some roadworks keep your eye out for today. Trinity Gardens, slow going there for that intersection upgrade work at Portrush and McGill Roads. Also got intersection upgrade works at Myrtle Bank for Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Roads. And look out at Hackham today, Main South Road and River Road speeds at 40 k's. A few cameras too, Nairn Road, Woodside and Pimpala Road and Woodcroft. An important message for all male listeners from today: when the going gets tough, pour away that cup of concrete, soften up and get talking. Brought to you by boysdocry.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Win a $3 million grand prize and $2 million early bird prize in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
24 for your Tuesday and partly cloudy tomorrow 22, Thursday partly cloudy 25. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 minutes after 8, breaking at 8 coming up in just a moment. We're crossing to Coober Pedy after 8:30 today. Chat with the local IGA after the airlift yesterday that brought 20 tonnes of food and supplies into the town, completely cut off by flooding, and there was more rain overnight. We'll have some info from the Bureau for you shortly about, as David described it before the break, a tale of 2 states really at the moment in South Australia. The north of the state, flooding and stacks of rain, and here it's been relatively dry. So we'll get into all that for you very, very shortly. The other thing, of course, that hasn't gone off this morning, we've only got 52 minutes left in which to do so, is our Guess Hoolaroo competition. The wonderful trip on a private jet to Uluru at great accommodation too. This is terrific lodgings you've got, and the tours and things they put on for you are spectacular. Leaving February 25th. It'll be the first call through when we give a clue out, and the 4th clue is coming up very, very shortly, so stay listening for that.
Well, this morning we hand over the Breaking at 8 segment to Eileen Cullerton, who we've now spoken to several times, and I've spoken to her a few times privately and done stories for the newspaper about her situation as well. Eileen, you'll recall, is the sister of Anne-Marie Cullerton, who back in 1988 became the victim of a completely heinous crime where Jonathan Bakewell broke into her flat in Darwin. He raped her and then murdered her. And back in a less mollycoddling era, he was sentenced to life and he served 28 years. But in the interim, the laws changed and life meaning life was no longer deemed to be acceptable. He was released in 2016, and in the years since, he's been rearrested 6 times and found to have breached the terms of his parole 4 times. Well, despite that, he's back before the courts again, making yet another bid for freedom. Eileen is on the line now. Eileen, this must just feel like some sort of recurring nightmare, the way it keeps popping up. And the worst thing about it, too, is you get no sort of forewarning. You only found out secondhand yesterday from a journo. Is that correct?
That's right. I was completely blindsided. The DPP didn't contact me. I had no idea. That was the first I heard, was that he had fronted up to the Supreme Court asking for a new non-parole period to be set. Now, let's not forget, he finally had his parole cancelled. Finally. I fought and campaigned for 2 years, as you know, and after 6 breaches, finally his parole was cancelled. He is still a life sentence prisoner, and because that was his original sentence that he was given before the laws were changed. So I'm saying enough is enough. He does not deserve any more chances. And I'm calling on the judge to refuse to set a new non-parole period. I'm calling on Jonathan Bakewell to serve out the remainder of his life sentence in prison, where the community will then be safe.
I find it staggering that he can be rearrested so many times, he can breach his parole so many times, yet, I mean, is there a point at which they say, mate, enough's enough, you've clearly got no interest in abiding by the rules here?
Well, the parole board finally, due to public pressure, I believe, finally cancelled his parole. However, they've learnt nothing, because the parole board chair still insists that this rapist murderer is not a threat to the community. And this is why I'm going to have to fight this. I will be I'm hopefully going to be able to make a submission to the Supreme Court. I've never had, this is a first, but this is, victim families need to be considered in all of this. And that, I mean, the main thing that I'm concerned about is community safety.
Yeah.
This is a man who is just as dangerous today as the day he raped and murdered my sister Anne-Marie Cullerton.
When we spoke about a year ago too, Eileen, there was a bit of political interest in this case. I remember the state opposition at the time said that they would look at your call for mandatory life sentences for rapists/murderers such as Bakewell. Have you heard any more on that front, or do you think that they might have gone cold on it, given the historic sort of reluctance of the major parties to embrace anything that resembles mandatory sentencing?
Well, I have had a discussion with the opposition, with Labor, and yes, it is true that historically the Labor is generally not for mandatory sentencing, and I understand that. I understand that in most murder cases, of course, there is a need for judicial discretion when it comes to sentencing. But the crime of murder with sexual assault isn't your typical murder case.
Yeah.
And it needs to have its own sentence. It needs to have its own offence, and it needs to be a standalone. And as I've said in the past, the judicial system is now broken because of the principle of precedent. And as we know, just recently, the Claremont serial killer and rapist, Bradley Edwards, now the judge, Justice Stephen Hall in Western Australia, refused the DPP's request to mark his papers never to be released. If a rapist serial killer won't have his papers marked never to be released, and there was another rape and murder later, and again, in the case of Julianne Cooper, a shocking crime, the judge didn't give her rapist murderer life with no parole either, even though the ability's there, but it's because the justice system's completely shattered now.
Yeah.
So this is why we need this mandatory sentencing. We need to start again, and the crime of murder with sexual assault needs to have its own sentence. So with the opposition, I know that there's an election, coming up in March, and I will certainly this week be contacting the Leader of the Opposition and Shadow Attorney General Kaya Ma to pick up those discussions and to talk about this, because we need laws that reflect community expectations.
100%. There's huge community support for what you're arguing for, and as you have so articulately put it, Eileen, I think most decent people, sensible people, would regard this as a unique and special category of crime. Eileen Cullerton will stay in touch on this. Thanks for joining us this morning for Breaking It 8. Red letter day yesterday for the courts, wasn't it?
It was extraordinary.
Yeah, someone who'd beaten a cop half senseless. He gets a suspended sentence. A bloke who's accused of murdering his wife, because he's an ex-soldier. He's apparently very, very, very reliable chap, apart from the whole allegedly killing your wife thing. He's on bail.
And to Eileen's point, you're going to have to someone's going to have to explain to me one day who it is that will be standing on North Terrace with placards saying "Justice for rapist murderers" if the government of any hue went down this path.
Yeah.
Because I struggle to see who the people are that will be put out by this, beyond the murderers themselves. Let's turn our attention to the weather, because it's been a big story in the northern part of the state. Of course, we had this extraordinary situation yesterday. 20 tonnes of aid had been airlifted to Coober Pedy. It's been completely cut off by floodwaters, thanks to the RAF for helping out the good people of Coober Pedy. We'll be crossing to the scene there after 8:30 today, but the rain continued overnight. We've just been in touch with the Port Augusta Golf Course. Their dams got 58 mils overnight. So it is just bucketing down there. A little bit earlier we spoke with the Weather Bureau and got a sense of what's been happening, not just in Coober Pedy, but right across the spectrum.
We've had some heavy rain through the north of the state, particularly sort of Port Augusta. Had 59 millimetres of rain, and much of that fell within an hour period of 8 and 9 last night, causing flooding issues in the area. Broken Hills Wells had rainfall totals in excess of 50 millimetres between sort of 4 and 5 last night. And in the far north of Ernabella, Pukucha, they've had a lot of rain up through there, over 100 millimetres of rain overnight. We do have a severe weather warning current for heavy rainfall for areas probably north of about sort of roughly Maree to Coober Pedy there.
It's just been a remarkable weather event and a very, very interesting sort of summer that we've had in South Australia, but no more interesting than in the far north of the state.
I tell you what, in a month or so, it'd be amazing to get up there to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
There'll be, all the wildflowers. It's going to be amazing. We're going to try to talk at some point to the... have you ever been to the Arid Lands Botanic Gardens in Port Augusta? Oh, it's just sensational. One of the great botanic gardens in the world, where they've actually created a garden purely out of Australian native desert plants. Superb.
Wow. 82230000. If you're listening to us via the app from the northern part of the state, or you've been through there or familiar with the area, we'd love to speak to you this morning. You can text us too on the Telstra Storm Outback at text line. It's a big happy Lunar New Year to everyone this morning. The Pope had sent his regards.
1 febbraio in tutto l'estremo oriente, nonché in varie parti del mondo, si celebra il Capodanno lunare. In questa circostanza rivolgo il mio cordiale saluto.
Big one for the South Asia and the Middle East, of course, the start of the lunar year. The Pope extending his regards there.
He might be getting out for a bit of yum chow later, His Holiness.
Quite possible.
Get a few hard gals into him.
Do you reckon? I don't remember seeing any yum chow in Vatican City. He might have to venture to...
Might have to get Uber Eats
to Rome for that.
Do you reckon Uber Eats would turn up if Frank said, "Hi, it's the Pope. I want some
Yeah, I reckon.
I want some gyozas or something.
I think so. I think you have to do, Vatican City priority. It costs extra $2.95 for them to cross the boundaries, but I reckon they do it. They're up for it. On to note, our man Arman Abrahimzadeh, City Councillor too, extended everyone a happy Lunar New Year greeting on the 1st of February this morning as well. We got some
Year of the Tiger.
Year of the Tiger.
One for the Bays fans there, if they can make amends for last year's grand final shocker.
Oh, they thought last year was going to be the Year of the Tiger.
So it's not the first time I thought that.
All right, let's talk Fuel Watch too, thanks to the excellent people at Glenelg BMW, where if you've got a service-inclusive package, you can book your next day service at Glenelg BMW right now. Petrol around the mid-$50s across Adelaide. The Liberty Mobile on Main North Road above the Grand Junction Road intersection in Jeps Cross is the petrol station to fill up today. They're only charging $1.47 per litre. Further along Main North Road in Nailsworth is where you'll find lower prices as well, so it's a good area for the fill-up. Keep an eye out if you're driving in the hills today, though, because you'll be paying a premium. Petrol sitting a solid 10 to 20 cents per litre above what people are paying on the plains. 19 minutes after 8, we're going to check traffic, and then we've got a clue coming up for you for Guess Hoolaroo. If you've been playing along this morning and you want that wonderful $4,000 trip to the excellent Uluru, thanks to NT Now, your chance to win is coming up in just a few moments' time. But first, traffic. A new and independent home for BMW is open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. At Edinburgh, reports of a missing manhole cover exposing a large hole. That's on Edinburgh Road near Sturton Road, just near the roundabout. Meadowbank, speeds reduced for works around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Roads. And Trinity Gardens also got some intersection upgrade works happening today. That's Portrush and McGill Roads. Does get slow throughout the morning. Cameras today, Wellington Road, Mount Barker and Woodside Road at Lobethal. Lunch sorted at OTR. The delicious $5 and $6 sandwiches are ready for you, and they're just $3 every Wednesday. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Afternoons with Jade Robran.
Ziggy Ramu, he's a huge talent here in Australia. He's an Indigenous Australian singer, songwriter and activist, and he's dedicating his craft to educating others.
At the end of the day, for me, I care about change for my community.
Jade Robran.
Have you found that a lot of people are ready? They're willing to listen?
I think so. With this kind of weight around the subject, it can be often very divisive.
Weekday afternoons from 1:30 on 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
With over 300 destinations, G'day Parks is Australia's largest network of holiday parks. That means it's also Australia's largest network of... Australia's largest network of...
Dinner's ready!
Australia's largest network of... And Australia's largest network of... Download the app or book online at g'dayparks.com.au. It's easy. The hard part is leaving when the holidays are over. G'day Parks. Here's good.
If you're a landlord or tenant, well, check this out. Toop and Toop have just launched an industry first. They're now giving tenants early access to rental properties. Tenants can now secure a home up to 2 months sooner, and that's before they become publicly available. Tenants simply register on the Toop and Toop website, then they'll notify you of any properties that match your needs.
And landlords too, this is great for you because this innovation could save you hundreds. You can secure quality tenants up to 2 months in advance and before you incur hundreds of dollars in advertising costs. It's brilliant, such a great concept by the innovative people at Toop and Toop, and it's one that's so needed in today's rental climate.
So if you want to tap into this incredible tenant network, head to toop.com.au or give them a call today.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Check out Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Timber Look Native Series sectional doors, gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes after 8, time to play Guess Hoolaroo. Just tuning in, good luck to you because We've got through 3 clues thus far. 3 incorrect guesses for the $4,000 trip to Uluru thanks to NT Now. Clue number 4. Remember, you hear the clue, you can call in on 8223 0055. Clue number 4. I am a member of the South Australian Hall of Fame. Member of the South Australian Hall of Fame. I reckon people are already fishing in those sorts of waters.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that one helps people, but it'll be another chance to guess. And the clues are leading to an increasingly small group of people. So 8223 0055 is the number. Your chance to get to Uluru on the private jet, February 25. We're getting very close to giving this away this morning. And then we've got 3 more of the holidays to give away before the end of the week.
Can't believe it's not Macca, but, I made that point.
I know
earlier.
you
I don't
did
want to harp on about it.
Forcefully. I feel like we're going to have a meeting about it.
We are. It's on the list.
David in Mile has called in first. Morning to you, David.
Morning.
So now, David, just take us through your working out, as they used to say in maths class.
Well, I know it's not a politician. It's a player and SNSL.
Yep.
So my guess is Barry Robran.
Barry Robran. Barry Robran's a good guess.
It's a very good guess.
Barry Robran is obviously an Australian rules footballer.
One of the absolute greats of our game.
Barry Robran's a one-club player.
Yep.
Played all his games in the SANFL.
Mm-hmm.
A member of the South Australian Hall of Fame.
Of course.
Is it Barry Robran? David, congratulations to you. You are off to Uluru. Private jet, thanks to NT Now, February 25th. Good on you, David. Well done, mate.
Have you been to Uluru before, mate? You actually sound like you might currently be in Uluru based on the phone line.
The miracle of that...
Using a Milo can with
David's
a bit of
called
string.
us on the worst phone line in Australia, and the only audible thing he managed to get out was the winning guess. which
is all that matters.
It was meant to be. So congratulations to you, David.
Conversation 0, winning 10.
We'll play Guess Uluru again tomorrow morning, and then again Thursday, and then again Friday. So you've got 3 more chances to win that trip. $4,000, $20,000 worth of holiday all this week thanks to NT Now. The Uluru Weekender by private jet is what they do, direct from Adelaide. Includes accommodation and touring, departing February 25. You can book that excellent trip right now yourself at ntnow.com.au. Wanted to talk bugs this morning. Kristen Messenger from Bugs and Slugs joins us on 5AA Breakfast because the tropical weather has brought with it all sorts of stuff, and our listeners have been this morning raising questions that we needed expert help with. Kristen, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
We're good, thanks, Kristen. So we had a lot of calls last week about the huge numbers of dragonflies that have been flushed out by the humidity. But are we seeing an increase in bugs across the board?
Yes. Yeah, we are. And I mean, that makes sense because dragonflies, they're in some parts of our state, they are currently swarming. So there are so many dragonflies that the air is thick with them, particularly over on the west coast, and they are predatory insects, so they've got to eat something. So it follows that there's an awful lot of bugs around, otherwise the dragonflies would have nothing to eat. So these things tend to feed off each other, so you're not going to get a ton of dragonflies if you don't have a ton of flying insects that can feed the dragonflies.
Well, they'd be loving it at the moment because I noticed at Bunnings the other day, there's a massive stack of fly traps at the checkout. Flies are not the big normal ones, but these little small sticky ones that won't leave you alone. There seem to be a lot of them around at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of flies and a lot of, a whole heap of different species of flies. There's a ton of flies. Mosquitoes are going to be pretty common as well. We've had a lot of water, and fortunately that's one of the dragonflies' favourite food. So they're really handy in that they do hunt down some of the things that we would consider pests. I noticed yesterday I was out in the field and I noticed more grasshoppers than I've seen in a really long time, and they were not the plague locusts, although that could come next, but certainly they were great big giant slant-faced grasshoppers. And I've had a lot of people send me in pictures of big slant-faced grasshoppers that they found as well. So, yeah, it'd be very interesting.
Kristen, I want to do some quick-fire questions with you if we could. We've got a few texts that have come through from our listeners on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Mike in Woodcroft wants to know if there's been a large influx of white cape butterflies in South Australia. Have you seen that?
Last year there was Cape of white butterflies, I think you mean.
Okay.
So last year there certainly was. This year I do grow capers, which is their host plant.
Oh, really?
Yep, and so does my brother, who's a much better gardener than me. So I force him to grow things sometimes so that I can come round and steal them for my caterpillars. And, this year so far we haven't seen any caper eggs on our plants, and I haven't seen any caper butterflies. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not on their way. They should turn up about now. There's a couple of spots in the Botanic Gardens and a few spots up around Erbray where they sort of tend to congregate. And again, because there's a host plant up there that they really like. And I haven't actually been in to check whether they're there yet. But I certainly haven't seen them this year in the very large numbers that we saw them in last year.
Rob wants to know whether yuccas are spider factories. Is that right?
Oh, that's interesting, because I've got one on my front porch, and it does get some really interesting spiders on it. It always gets bird-dropping spiders on it.
Probably the shape suits them for making webs.
Well, I think the shape is also, quite, things don't like to get in there. The shape is quite protective for them from birds and things like that. So I've had some very interesting spiders in my yucca, that's for sure.
And I think this one was I think Will from Goodwood wants to settle a bet. He says, can you ask if mozzies are 1.4 times bigger in size this year?
1.4.
If that's to settle a bet, I want to know if I get a cut.
We'll give you 20%, Kristen.
Good on you, Kristen.
Thanks,
No
Kristen.
worries.
That was excellent.
That was fantastic. Kristen Messenger from Bugs and Slugs. It's right on 8:30. 5AA News is on the way, and we'll be back with more shortly.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 24 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra care, extra clean, extra safe. Book today, physioextra.com.
A traffic stop at Corolta Park in the early hours of this morning turned into a drug bust. Senior Constable Matt Brown says 3 people were detained just after 2:30.
During a search of the arrested trio, police located a trafficable amount of drugs, including fantasy, or GHB as it's also known, and methamphetamine. So the 3 men that have been arrested, they'll face numerous charges, including trafficking and controlled drug.
The federal government is under fire for ignoring several warnings about the need for broader COVID testing capabilities. In April 2020, a group of 3 technical experts sent multiple documents to senior health officials calling for adoption of low-cost rapid testing kits. They also raised the alarm about an over-reliance on PCR testing, which could buckle under the pressure of surging cases. Professor Paul Wood has told Nine the bureaucrats lacked foresight.
I think the government always had a habit of cherry-picking the advice to make sure that it fitted with what they felt was politically acceptable. None of what we're saying hasn't been used before. It just requires someone to actually stop and have a conversation.
The Red Cross has issued an urgent call for new blood donors. There's been a record number of appointment no-shows in recent weeks due to COVID. Lifeblood's Jen Salter says an extra 700 donations are needed in SA over the next fortnight.
At the moment, we estimate that about 100,000 donors across Australia can't donate on any given day. That is a very high number, so we do need other people to step up and take their place.
South Australians needing emergency treatment are waiting the longest in the nation for an ambulance. A Productivity Commission report released overnight shows we lag behind the rest of the nation on a range of key healthcare measures. Wait times for emergency treatment in hospitals, urgent elective surgery and dental care have all increased in the past year. Shadow Health Minister Chris Picton says it's concerning.
We're now in a state where clearly we have some of the worst outcomes anywhere in the country, and the worst outcome for people who needed urgent ambulance assistance. We desperately need additional resources for our health system, particularly our ambulance service, to make sure that when people urgently need care, that they can get that on time, which isn't happening at the moment.
Economists predict the Reserve Bank won't lift the official cash rate when it meets today, but a rate rise is on the cards later in the year. The RBA is expected to maintain the cash rate at the historic low of 0.1%. Rate City's Sally Tyndall says a hike is being looked at as early as August.
They want to see wages grow before they pull the trigger on a rate hike because they want to make sure that people can afford it. But soaring inflation figures and falling unemployment figures could force the RBA's hand earlier.
Wordle, the daily online word puzzle that has millions of players around the world every day, has been sold for a seven-figure sum. The New York Times company snapping up the popular game. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Uluru Weekender by Private Jet, direct from Adelaide. Departs February 25th. Book at ntnow.com.au.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. The AFL board is set to meet to discuss what the start of the new season is going to look like. WA's hard border could force a rework of the premiership season without a certain time frame when it will reopen. Well, North Melbourne has confirmed Ben Buckley will stand down as president at the end of March. Nine's Jordan Tunbridge reports.
Ben Buckley is leaving his post as North Melbourne president 6 months earlier than planned. Heading into his 9th year on the Kangaroos board, Buckley says the time is right to move on. He'll hand over the reins to Dr. Sonia Hood in March, making her the club's first female president. The leadership change comes after the Kangaroos had a poor 2021 season, finishing last on the ladder. During Buckley's time as president, the Roos became debt-free for the first time in almost 4 decades.
A record-breaking 12.5 million people watched this year's Australian Open, including the highest-rating women's final, where Ash Barty broke a 44-year drought by taking out the Grand Slam. Former Chelsea boss Frank Lampard has been appointed manager of Everton. Lampard has agreed to a 2.5-year deal and replaces Rafa Benitez. And the NFL Super Bowl 56 is locked in with the LA Rams set to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And Formula One is making COVID-19 vaccination mandatory for all drivers and team members. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Edinburgh, got reports of a missing manhole cover exposing a large hole on Edinburgh Road near Sturton Road, near the roundabout there. Myrtle Bank speeds reduced for works around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Roads, just at bottom of the freeway. And Trinity Gardens slow going for those intersection upgrade works at Portrush Road and McGill Roads. Got cameras Sugarloaf Road, Chandler's Hill and Piggott Range Road at Clarendon. Moving home? Don't do it alone. For every stage of life, Storage King has hassle-free storage solutions. Visit storageking.com.au today. The Kings of Storage, moving and more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
There's double the fun with 2 Scott Salisbury homes to win in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery.
Partly cloudy today, heading for a top of 24. Partly cloudy tomorrow, 22. Then Thursday, 25. Right now it's 19 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi have amazing deals on new, demo and used vehicles with over 250 cars arriving between now and the end of Feb. The only problem is we need to make room for the rebuild of the Wavell Mitsubishi showroom, so every car must go. All new Mitsubishi cars come with 10 years warranty and 10 years capped price servicing. Get in touch with the team at Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi, located in Morfett Vale, driven by Australian Motors, LVD 80.
Whether you're celebrating catching up with family again, getting all the grandkids round for a barbecue, or heading out to dinner with some old friends.
Oh, mate, absolutely cool.
You don't want to miss out on hearing the best bits. Should have gone to Specsavers. For a free 15-minute hearing check, book today at specsavers.com.au/hearing. Conditions apply.
5AA's Business Lounge with Leith Forrest.
So in the Business Lounge today, I'm joined by an inspirational man who is a big fan of Arbor Vitae. Welcome, Peter Wilson.
G'day, Leith.
Hey, I know you've been using Arbor Vitae since 2018. Tell us about it.
It has
completely changed my life. It's like liquid gold to me. My joint pain has completely disappeared. My mobility is so much better, and the reduction in inflammation is amazing.
After trialling and failing, Peter, with other treatments, you tried Arbor Vitae and even kept a pain diary. How did that work out for you?
I was using various things and trying different things until I decided that I had to find something that would work. I did nothing else other than a Google search, actually, and came across Arbor Vitae, and it definitely made a difference to my joint pain within a few weeks.
I'm so glad that Arbor Vitae has given you back your life. Arbor Vitae is available in chemists and health food stores all over Adelaide. For a full list of stockists or to buy online direct, go to arborvitae.com.au, or you can give the Arbor Vitae team a call on 1300 879 863. Remember, always follow the directions for use. This medicine may not be right for you. Read the label before purchase. If symptoms persist, talk to your health professional. For more information, visit arborvitae.com.au. That's arborvitae.com.au.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell & O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell & O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell & O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 minutes to 9, Behind Closed Doors is coming up in just a moment. Continue our conversation about the weather in the northern part of the state as well. How do you feel about your beloved Wordle being bought by the New York Times? Mel Usher's news a few moments ago. They've just purchased it. The creator of Wordle's put a statement out on Twitter as well, saying that he's been ultimately overwhelmed by how big a job it's become. He credited for his own benefit and says it's a natural home at the New York Times because he was inspired by the games they have. They're famous for the games they have on their website. So that's where its new home is going to be.
Had a shocker this morning. Took me 5 guesses. I almost stuffed it up completely. What about yesterday, though? First guess was plain, and it said L is the only right letter. It's in the wrong spot. Second guess, light. Ding, 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 ding. 2 guesses.
That's excellent.
I
knew that you had a spring in your step yesterday.
Oh, yesterday was a good Wordle day.
A severe weather warning for heavy rainfall has been issued for the northeast pastoral and parts of the northwest pastoral districts. We spoke to the Port Augusta Golf Course a little bit earlier, and they told us they'd had about 58 mils of rain in their dam overnight. The situation in the lead up to yesterday for Coober Pedy has been quite extraordinary, and the roads leading to the town have been cut off. We've been covering it for the last couple of days. It culminated yesterday in a RAF airdrop of some 20 tonnes worth of supply. That would have been welcome news for our next guest. Rajid Bandara is the assistant manager of the IGA at Coober Pedy. Rajid, good morning to you.
Good morning, mate. Thanks for having me.
So, Rajid, walk us through how hard it's been getting all your normal produce into Coober Pedy over the last week or so.
Yeah, mate. It's over the last week, mate, we had our the last supply stuck in Glendamble for a week, and we haven't had anything over last week until the Saturday until the police helped us to clear the supply to Coober Pedy.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a stressful week.
So what's left on your shelves? Anything?
Well, actually, it's not too bad at this stage because we started to receive this air supply from yesterday. And we're getting more deliveries today until tomorrow. So it's getting restocked as we speak. Hopefully that will help us to last at least 7 to 10 days.
We saw a lot of crazy panic buying in the cities over the last couple of years because of the pandemic, Rajid, but it sounds like from what you've been saying, though, that people have been pretty level-headed in Coober Pedy. Like, you haven't had people coming in and trying to buy the entire supermarket, have you?
No, that's right, mate. To be honest, we pretty much didn't have like a panic buying at all. People are understanding. We have a pretty close community here. and they really know when we're getting the supplies, and they're pretty much understanding. Pretty much. That's why we had the problem last Friday, because we had the freight stuck in the Glendambo. We were running out of our fresh supplies, but since then we had not any major issues. Everyone's understanding.
How many stores are there in Coober Pedy?
It's only us, mate. One store for the whole town.
You're it. So everyone's coming in. What was the first thing you ran out of?
It was toilet paper.
Right. Okay. So something's always.
Yep. For some reason, yeah.
How long have you lived in Coober Pedy, Rajid?
Almost been 10 years now.
Yeah. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And can I ask you, mate? So, is your background Indian?
I'm originally from Sri Lanka.
From Sri Lanka. So how did you end up going from Sri Lanka to Coober Pedy? What a lifestyle change that must have been.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I've been in Australia for nearly 13 years. I came as a student, and gained my citizenship throughout the years, and and moved to Coober Pedy to work. And I love it here. So I love the people, and we know pretty much each other, and it's a good place to live.
Can you still get into the Sri Lankan tucker? Like, do you do the chicken curry and all that sort of stuff, and the lampreys and everything else?
Well, trust me, mate, we get everything in. We have a complete shelf in the IGA for the Asian stuff.
Well, hopefully it's not empty at the moment, mate. And
no, mate, we have a card to keep everything full.
Good on you, Rajid. Great chat, mate. Thanks for your time.
No problem, mate. Thank you for having me.
Good on you. What a great bloke.
It sounds like they're pretty upbeat there in Coober Pedy.
He's got a good wicket going there. We're the only supermarket in town.
Corner the market.
That's right. Just need some stock. Never been to Coober Pedy.
No, I haven't either.
I really want to go. One interesting thing about Coober Pedy, because I've been toying with the idea of going there for a news story for like a feature for the Australian, but logistically it's too hard with radio, and obviously this is our chief commitment, doing the radio show, doing the Brekkie show. Well, but the election result in Coober Pedy, the last federal election result 3 years ago, it's one of 3 places in Australia, the other 2 are in Queensland, where all of the booths in Coober Pedy were the exact replica of the national result.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the way everyone voted in Coober Pedy, I know what the population is, probably 3,000.
What, an exact
It's an exact focus group of what Australia thought about Morrison v Shorten in 2019. Isn't that interesting?
That's
a mate of mine's a total psophologist nerd, like a vote reader who just spends his spare time. And he rang me up and he said, "Mate, you can get up at Coober Pedy?" I said, "It's not really just up the road. Like, it's a bit of a hike." But I think that's a fascinating story.
That is that
because if you actually spent time there and spoke to 10 people about their views, you only need to find 2 who've changed their mind to base a really interesting feature. But it could be like, Fred the mechanic and Barbara the hairdresser and, I don't know, maybe, Rudgy the grocery guy. But Coober Pedy...
Reminds me, I remember reading about I think it's Columbus, Ohio in the United States, which is considered a small city that's the perfect cross-section of America.
Yeah.
And it's the place that, if you go there, every fast food chain and all the big chains and franchises...
Test it out.
That's where they'll try out all their menus.
Yeah, right.
So you go there and they'll have everything well before everyone else.
Wow.
Because if it works there, it'll work everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's Columbus, Ohio. It's a place. It's a place like that. But maybe Coober Pedy's our version.
Yeah.
That needs to be the sort of the laboratory of Australia.
Yeah.
Now, Ruby's been doing a mountain of work in the booth this morning, calling Port Augusta. We wanted to speak to a local about the situation overnight with a stack of rain there. What have you learnt, Ruby?
Well, actually, Sam's been doing a lot of the hard yards back there.
Take credit where it's given, especially live on the air.
Well, basically, we've been speaking to heaps of the locals. Even though all the rain came last night, apparently it's dry as up there. No, not even puddles on the main road or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's already gone.
Yep, all dry as. But we did speak to a lady at the SES. All the SES workers are still asleep because they did a few houses lost power overnight and everything. But if you're a sound sleeper, deep sleeper, you wouldn't know this morning.
Oh, well, that's good.
Well,
so they had 58 mils at the golf course, we know, because you guys chatted with them a little bit earlier as well. But thankfully, it doesn't sound like they're going to be suffering from the sort of issues that Cooperpedia are having at the moment.
No, not at all. I think as worse as it gets, a few houses lost their power for a bit.
Well, that's some good news.
But if you are in Port Augusta and do actually want to have a chat on there, please call us.
Yeah, absolutely. 8223 You can always text us too on the Telstra Storm Barker text line. Thank you for that, Ruby. Let's check traffic. Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? We'll book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will. At Edinburgh, got reports of a missing manhole cover exposing a large hole on Edinburgh Road near Sturton Road. Motorbank got speeds reduced there. That's for those works around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Road, just out the bottom of the freeway. And also got some works at Trinity Gardens for another intersection upgrade. Portrush and McGill Roads does get slow throughout the morning. Cameras today, Nan Road, Woodside and Pimpala Road at Woodcroft. Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss return as Neo and Trinity in The Matrix Resurrections. Fast track from cinemas to your home. New to buy or rent on digital. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Check out Gliderol Garage Doors' new timber gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA.
There are nights when you enjoy listening to quiet, empty streets. Then there are nights when all you want to hear is a siren in the distance.
SA ambulance, what's your emergency?
Oh, but please help. My daughter's not breathing. I need an ambulance.
I'm organising...
The Marshall government cut $11 million of ambulance service funding in its first 2 years, leaving our ambulance service in crisis. South Australians are dying for more ambos.
Authorised L. Watkins Ambulance Employees Association of SA, Adelaide.
She's like bang.
Explore Australia's biggest arts festival at Adelaide Fringe from the 18th of February to the 20th of March. With over 1,000 shows, act now and get your tickets. Supported by principal partner Bank SA. Search Adelaide Fringe today.
At Southern Cross Care, we understand that your retirement needs are unique. That's why we offer better retirement living options at a location and price to suit your lifestyle. Affordable, beautifully refurbished one-bedroom units from Payneham to Paraka to Plympton. All homes are well appointed with maintenance taken care of. Plus, you'll have access to Southern Cross Care's award-winning services. These vibrant, welcoming communities offer a better retirement lifestyle. For more on retirement living, Google Southern Cross Care.
The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now, and it is sizzling with massive savings on new, demo and used Mazdas. And the great news? Plenty of stock is arriving daily. But remember, everybody wants to drive a Mazda in 2022. So hurry to avoid missing out. The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now with incredible savings. Hurry in now. Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road, LMVD 207428.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes to 9, behind closed doors coming up in just a moment. Got an answer to the mystery of that loud Lockleys explosion that we heard about with Sapol yesterday in the morning. It was clearly caused quite a racket.
So I was like half asleep and then we heard a massive bang. I looked outside and there was like all the neighbours were in the street. We just saw all this debris and the car had been, had a hole in it.
Someone let off a firework.
Crazy.
So nothing had exploded per se beyond something that was entirely designed to explode. Commercially bought firework.
I know a lot of people in the western suburbs heard it. Did you hear it?
No, I didn't hear it.
Well, you'd have been tucked up in bed.
I don't hear much.
No.
You could let off a firework underneath the bed once I'm asleep and
you could strap a Catherine wheel to your head and you wouldn't wake up.
I wouldn't know. No. I wouldn't know until the next morning.
Stick a couple of penny
How'd
bungers up your nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think my wife's done that. Or at least thought about it.
I don't want to hear about your private life.
At least thought about it.
Hey, honey, it's cracker night. Hey, what about these?
It got very weird very quick. Better not be your headline.
No, it's not.
Good.
Now, Colin James at The Advertiser done a fantastic story about the Holdfast Shores traders being tormented by a very, very tiny handful. And we should stress that because, you know, there's a class war thing. People are quick to make all sorts of generalisations about all of the people who are lucky enough to live in those extremely expensive apartments at Holdfast Shores. But of the 180 residents, there's a group of 12 who have launched some sort of fatwa against all of the restaurants downstairs. The complaints sound so utterly trivial. And when you think they're levelled against businesses that have been shut for half of the last 2 years anyway, and they're finally just getting back on their feet. But how's this? And it suggests that affluence is often the basis for having a warped sense of priorities in life. They've not only been complaining about noise that patrons have been making coming from restaurants, they've even been complaining about squeaking wheels on the trolleys that the restaurants use to move stock around. So, like, you know, all the King George Whitings come in for Sammy's on the Marina or something like that, and then, oh, I can't live like this.
Why does democracy work in reverse when it comes to the complaints handling process locally? Because you've got 168 of the 180 people haven't complained. So what's that, 92, 3, 4% something?
Yeah.
Yet it's a complaint that will probably get acted upon in some way.
To bring it back to the squeaking wheels, the squeaky wheels make the most noise. But part of the problem, and how's this for their sense of remoteness, is that the reason they've been complaining so much, this gang of 12, is that normally they're overseas at this time of year. First, I should have been in Tuscany.
Yeah.
Now I'm stuck here. Listen to that squeaky wheel.
To be fair to them, it's been a really easy run that the hospitality industry has been having recently. So, you know, they've been living high on the hog for the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're lighting cigars with rolled up $100 notes at all the restaurants there.
Unbelievable.
Leave them alone.
Yeah, correct. Let's go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed doors.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
And welcome back to 5AA Breakfast. And David Penberthy, welcome back to you too.
Yeah, g'day, Will. How you going?
Oh, I'm particularly well, David.
Standard stuffed taco shells.
Now, a news poll out yesterday.
4 kids in the car.
Showing the Prime Minister well behind in the preferred Prime Minister stakes, and all Josh Frydenberg could say was, the only poll that matters is election day.
Oh, yeah, they always say that, don't they?
They use the same phrases over and over and over again. It's so irritating.
Yeah, that's right. Will was telling me in the ad break that he's really excited about Frozen coming to Adelaide.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The hit Broadway musical of Disney's Frozen at the Festival Theatre.
Sorry, Will, I interrupted you there.
No, that's all right. I'm happy to talk about it.
It's a big deal, though. It's a full production coming to Adelaide.
It sure is. It's as big as shows come, and it's a big story. Pre-ticket sales on the 28th of February at the Festival Theatre.
The pH level of the pool was a bit high yesterday, so I went to Bunnings and bought some hydrochloric acid.
Oh, really? How's the pool going?
Yeah, it's great. Sorry, I interrupted you there, didn't I?
That's all right, David.
You know you can enter Bunnings from either side now. They've dropped the entry restrictions.
Oh, great. Well, we're getting there.
Yep.
Now, importantly, coming up again in this half hour, another clue in our NT Now competition. Your chance to win a flight to Uluru on a private jet.
You know, another one of Blakey's chooks died.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. That is sad news, especially considering he loves not to have to buy eggs.
Yeah, he's only got one chook left now. Sorry, Will, I interrupted you there, didn't I?
No problem, David.
Okay.
That said, I am looking forward to finishing a thought any day now.
I think I'll buy a mountain bike.
Did you ask him to do that?
No, there's no.
I sense collusion.
No, none whatsoever. Like he doesn't take requests. Do you know that?
No, I know.
He doesn't take requests.
And often he makes a point of it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you could have come up with a genius idea and go, thanks, I did the humour around here.
Yeah, that's right. You
do your own job.
You do you.
Whatever that may entail.
We should do some texts on the Telstra Still Mount Barker text line. It was the Lord Mayor's opinion piece in the paper. Less than opinion piece, was more of sort of a thought bubble for the future of the city. Was quite interesting, but not all of our listeners are fans of it. Peter says Sandy Verschoor is not satisfied with barring the Adelaide Crows from the city and happy to be rid of the Adelaide 500, wants to ban cars from the city streets for 3 months. What the? It's not as dramatic as the headline made it out, I think. The idea was...
Well, she's talking about closing some streets off for an extended period.
I think some of the texts we've been getting suggest that people believe it was all streets.
You know what street I reckon we might as well close? Because it hasn't worked for the past 3 years anyway. North Terrace.
Yeah.
Why don't we just say,
it's
look,
miserable.
actually, we're closing it and we're going to fix it once and for all.
I've probably as much as any street in Adelaide, I avoid North Terrace.
Yeah.
I refuse to drive on it. It's just horrible.
No, and it's such a neglected potential jewel on the crown of the city too.
Great walking street.
Yeah.
Horrible driving street.
Yeah, oh, it's just terrible.
Yeah. Now, Barry and Brighton on the issue of the Australian Open final, which night the final should be on, says men's final. Everyone I spoke with went to bed after set 2. Why don't they schedule the final on Sunday afternoon?
Day night. Have a pink ball.
There's an idea. Works in other formats.
For the swing servers would really love it from about 8 p.m. onwards.
Thank you for that text on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line as well. I think it's time for the daily headline.
Boris Johnson issues response to damning party report. Well, this calls for a drink.
Might as well have.
Why not? You got to fight for your right to party. The Beastie Boys.
We're out of time. Graham Gooding's coming up after 9 o'clock today, and we will catch you tomorrow morning from 6.